Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 46. This is a special emergency live broadcast. I have to discuss what's happening with Glenn Greenwald. This man is in big trouble and we have to defend him. The entire globalist forces are against him. I call on all MAGA supporters. We have to stand with Glenn Greenwald. Now is the time we have to stand with Glenn Greenwald. And we'll discuss this massive scandal. I have Amori joining. Thank you, Amori, for joining. By the way, guys, just give me a minute so I can post the link. Very important. We all discuss this right now. So important. I'm so concerned. I'm so concerned. I think we've got 75 people on Twitter. Thank you, guys. Please, I encourage you all to go to the YouTube. I put the YouTube in the link, the comment below. I'll put the link in the Discord as well, and then we'll start. I know maybe people will be asking, why did you start so late, Drew? It's at 11 o'clock at night. Well, I was playing Hearts of Iron 4. It's very important. Very fucking important. Just going to post the link up, guys. I think the feet wasn't even the worst. It was the spit. The whole thing's fucked up. We'll discuss it. We have to discuss it. It's extremely concerning. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like. We need to all band together right now to defend Glenn Greenwald. This is all about standing in a man who is in a moment of distress. Because we've all been there. We've all been there. Let me bring up. I'm just going to bring up. 1 second. I put this on the stream. How's everybody going today? I'm very concerned. So, guys, if you're watching on the stream, go to the YouTube. Very important. If you're watching on Twitter, go to the YouTube. It's very important. Now, we will discuss Glenn Greenwald. It's so fucking important. Let me get this up. Where is he? Now, when I saw this for the first time, I was disturbed. We're going to have to discuss this. Because we can't just ignore this, guys. We can't just pretend it's not happening. It's extremely disturbing. The whole world is disturbed right now, I believe. And it's not even about the fact he could have done this with a woman. It would have still been very disturbing. Very disturbing. This isn't actually because he's gay. I have to clarify that. He could have been licking a girl's feet and it would be fucked up. Just the way that there was the financial domination aspect is very disturbing. Very disturbing. Now, I think we've got seven people on YouTube. Guys, if you're on the YouTube, please leave a like and comment so that the algorithm will help us reach more people. It's so important. Someone asked, Glenn Greenwald is gay? I know it's shocking. And I just want to clarify for everybody. It's not the scariest part of the video. I'm not worried about him being gay. I'm just worried about the financial domination. He sent this guy $2,000. He was licking spit off the ground. He put a foot in his ass. No, foot in his mouth. It was fucked up. It was extremely disturbing. Thank you for joining us, Pickles LeBlanc. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment so I know who to shout out and thank. So important, guys. I want to read out this powerful post by Suleiman Ahmed. It's gross it got out. Now, this man actually retweeted it. Glenn himself retweeted it. He retweeted it on his Twitter. And that's one of the most disturbing aspects of it, that he wanted the world to see this. And I think everybody's worried. He must have some kind of humiliation thing. It's very, very concerning. Now, Suleiman Ahmed, very powerful Pakistani bloke from Britain. And he worked with Nick Fuentes in order to defend the world against Zionism. And he's put out a very, very powerful statement. He says, I stand with Glenn Greenwald. I couldn't have said it better myself, Suleiman. I couldn't have said it even better myself. Glenn Greenwald is a brilliant and courageous journalist who has contributed immensely to the world through his unwavering commitment to truth and justice. He's consistently spoken out about the abuse of the deep state and is a fearless advocate of free speech. it's clear that powerful forces have attempted to blackmail him, pressuring him to abandon his principles and betray the very values he has championed throughout his career. But Glenn stood firm. He shared the video licking a man's foot. He shared it himself so that he could not be blackmailed. It's so powerful. He refused to compromise his integrity, and in retaliation, they released a malicious hit piece in an attempt to discredit him. In a time when many would cave under pressure or choose self-preservation over principle, Glenn chose the harder path. Presumably Suleiman is concerned that they might do the same to him. Release the foot videos with him and Nick Fuentes. Fuck, that'd be concerning. He did not betray his audience or the countless people who rely on him for honest, independent journalism. For that, he deserves immense respect. I stand with Glenn Greenwald more than ever. It's really powerful. If anyone ever released a Drew Pavlou sex tape, would you retweet it? I think it would depend if I looked good. I think it'd depend if it looked good. But Glenn Greenwald didn't look good here, guys. He didn't look good. He was licking spit off the floor. He was putting a foot in his mouth. It was not good. It was not good. Come on, guys. It was not good. It was fucked up. Glenn Greenwald has never bowed to power. I'm going to just say, Je suis Glenn Greenwald. Who among us has not been filmed on camera doing financial domination kink role play with a Brazilian gentleman? Who hasn't been there before? I think those who are in glass houses should not throw stones. So fucking important. I stand with Glenn Greenwald. Well, Glenn is not standing on his knees. He looks good for 60. Oh, that's it's very disturbing. I don't know about that. Glenn Greenwald might be the best living journalist. He's fearless and sincere. If every newsman in America had one employee half as courageous as he, then there would be a lot more Brazilian gentlemen getting money for putting feet in their mouth. Of course. Of course. Just so disturbing, guys. I'm just concerned. Really, really worried. Really, really worried. Hang on. Let me. I have to post the link one more time. The link to my video, not to Glenn's. We're not putting Glenn's up. Fucked up. Just so disturbing. Who has not been in this situation before, guys? I mean, we've all been there, correct? Oh, just me? Oh, okay. Sure. Fuck. Sure. Okay. There's more Glenn Greenwald stuff. Hang on. Glenn Greenwald will never give in. He will never, ever give in. Ever. It's a trap. So true. How much money would it take for it to be your foot instead of the Brazilian man? Would any amount of money compel you to do it? No. I'm sorry. Never. Oh, this is a fucked up meme. There's a foot. I love this comment. I love this comment by Surf Sherpa. Open veins in Latin America for my groipalicious GYG foot meal. We stand against Western degeneracy. Well said. Well said. We've all been there. We've all been there. Could people stop posting naked pictures of Glenn Greenwald? He's one of the few journalists with integrity, and I don't give a shit what he's into sexually. Well said, Jake. Well said.
Do you think about the days when we sat down smoking wine and drinking haze? Oh, is it the other way? Is it the other way? Swing now.
Should I play the video on stream? It's not that explicit. It'd just be funny. I don't know.
Glenn Greenwald. Hey, Glenn Greenwald. Excuse me, brah. You're excused. You're excused.
We've all been there. Hey, Nick.
Glenn Greenwald passes
been
by
there.
me. He's in
Jake Shields' neo-Nazism is so funny. It's just like you and Captain Dreamer and fighting much these days. I haven't been. I mean, we haven't talked. I've asked him to come on the stream to debate, and he won't do it. He won't do it. Actually, oh my god, I helped get this one onto the Mytho UK. How good's this? POV, you're an Aboriginal woman who flew all the way from so-called Australia to the UK to play your song in front of Buckingham Palace. Land back. So powerful, guys. Wow, how powerful is that? She's so-called Australia. Makes no sense because there's no native name for the continent. Well said, actually. Theatre kids. World's powerful. The world's powerful. How will King Charles cope in his palace? Who knows? How will he respond? I don't know. Let me get. I actually found that. I found that on TikTok, by the way. So this had 27,000 likes on TikTok. I actually said, look. I don't agree with the ZANU-PF Robert Mugabe Hamas politics. I don't agree with race war politics. But she'd be cute. So, you know what, babe, I actually agree. I'm a valid military target. Just shoot me in the head. Honestly, I'd let myself get massacred. Would you? I don't know. If you wouldn't, maybe Glenn Greenwald. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh Allah, we are slaves to you. Oh Allah, why is
Politically, what is Glenn Greenwald about which makes you hate him? Probably the fact that he's massive Russia supporter, massive Hamas supporter, loves China, just hates the West. Oh Allah, we are slaves to you. Oh Allah, the Ummah is broken. Oh Allah, why is the Ummah so powerless? Oh Allah. You are Islamophobic. How am I Islamophobic? I'm just saying, oh Allah, the Ummah is broken. Oh Allah, Ya Allah, the Ummah is broken. The Ummah is broken. Ya Allah. Guys, if the indigenous race war advocate, genocidal lady wanted to kill you, would you let her? Because she's a little bit cute, right? I don't know. I don't agree with her politics, but I don't know. But Drew, are you a groiper? Glenn Green. I just had a really funny idea for a tweet. Glenn Greenwald was simply enjoying an average groiper Latinx meal. Guys, how good's that tweet? Glenn Greenwald was simply enjoying an average groiper Latino meal. That's true. That's actually facts. That's true. That's actually true. Someone says she's gross. If you guys are gay, that's okay with me. I'm not gonna condemn you, but I think she was cute. I don't agree with the Hamas race war politics, but you know, if she had to shoot me in the head for the race war, you know, death by snoo, right? Glenn Greenwald. That was a good tweet. That was a fucking good tweet. You do seem to kick around Muslims more than any other religious group, in fairness. I say this as someone broadly contemptuous of organized religion. Maybe I just don't like jihadism because I don't see other religious groups really doing organized terrorist attacks on civilians all the time. I'm not against Muslims. I'm just against Islamism. jihadism, which is an extremist ideology. You rarely get humanizing headlines like this for Muslim or black attackers. And then the Southport attacker, everyone found his school photos and said, you know, poor bloke, just killed 3 kids. What should we discuss today, guys? Apart from this is funny. Nick Fuentes admitted that he only hates Jews because a Jewish girl rejected him in high school. What can you do, guys? It's what a sad thing. Hey, what a sad thing. By the way, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like. Leave a like. Very important. Very important you leave a like. Then YouTube will recommend us to more people. So important. We've got 5 likes on the video. Please add more likes to the video. That way, we'll be able to have more viewers. So important. We all have to discuss. These important events.
My job is closely connected with bringing work and travel exchange students. So it's kids from white countries that come work for us during season, vendors in restaurant, for 3 months and travel US a month and go back home. Their interviews got paused because of this. Not allowed to object genocide.
True.
Molotov bro, I percent $20. Was swiping on Hinge while I was watching your show the other night and changed settings to only show Jewish girls. Couple minutes later I'm spanking it to Jewish girls while you're in the background on one of your rants about Jews/Israel. Fast forward a couple weeks and it's the only way I can come.
Okay, all right. Really, can we not talk about, this is a family show, please? Honestly, though, I kind of get the Jew thing. Like, I kind of get it.
I think he has gotten a bit more chunky. Isn't it interesting? I've lost about almost 15 kilos the past 9 months. And it looks like Nick has taken those kilos from me. It's really good. Mr. F says, hello. Hello, guys. Ancient Romans wrote similar reasons for anti-Semitism, couldn't marry them. So true. Nick Fuentes, what do you guys think? Do you think Nick Fuentes took my excess weight, guys? Hello, Mr. F.
Look, I'm just going to say I kind of get it. I had a crush on a Jewish girl when I was in high school, very briefly. But yeah, it's it's just like the black thing. It's like the black thing. There's something about, isn't there something about the contradiction? Isn't there something about but whatever. We're not gonna get into a freaking flipping freak.
Nick used to be kind of skinny, but his groper meal diet caught up to him. And listen, Glenn Greenwald was having his groper meal today. The average groper Latino meal. When a groper goes to Latin America, they unleash. Does someone have a link to the actual Glenn Greenwald video? I want to get a photo of him licking the foot, and I want to post it to say when a groper finally goes to North America, goes to Latin America, they just unleash. Surf Sherpa says, I deeply oppose mestizo anti-colonial activists crushing my windpipe with their stiletto. Speak for yourself, my friend. Speak for yourself. If that Aboriginal race war lady wanted to crush my windpipe with their stiletto, that's something I would have to accept. Will you have tracing wood grains on? I will have them on this week, and I've got Hanania coming on next week. Tomorrow. You know what Thomas Sowell says about socialist looks, right? No, I don't. The average groper meal. Greenwald video. Should we play it on the stream? If you don't watch the Glenn Greenwald video on a loop for 24 hours straight, then you are woke right. That makes sense to me. We've got someone beautiful. We've got someone on Kick. Very important that people go to Kick. Thank you. Nick Fuentes' body is slowly deteriorating to reflect the condition of his soul. You're experiencing the opposite effect. No glaze. Thank you, my friend. No, thank you so much. My soul is rising to the heavens. Where'd you link it, Metro? Where'd you link it? Is it on Kick? The average Latino groper. It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up, dude. It's so fucked up. Can you imagine how much everyone would clown on me if this happened to me? Can you imagine? It's fucked up.
É assim. Beija no pé. Beija. Beija, viadinho, caralho.
No.
Yeah.
Disturbing.
Jesus. Ah. Fuck.
You are on Kick too. Yes, I'm on. I've got 4 multi-streaming options on right now, guys. I've got YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Kick. Very powerful. Young people today correctly recognize that 9/11 didn't happen in vacuum. It was a direct response to the consequence of US foreign policy in the Middle East. The more you know about what the US has done in the Middle East, the more you understand why many believe the US deserved 9/11. Holy shit. What is this problem? What is this bitch's problem? Kick chat is full of far right troll. There's only like one person on the Kick chat, isn't there? Hang on. Let me try to find out. I thought I've got like one person watching on Kick right now, I'm pretty sure. Hang on. Hang on, where's how do I find this? 1 second. How do I turn on links on Kick? Mod actions. They're very difficult, guys. Very difficult. I don't know. I literally don't even know. Search up turn links on Kick. My favorite Taylor Lorenz joke is that if COVID was like World War II, then Lorenz is like the IGA soldier terrorizing civilians in Indonesia in the 50s. That's true. Okay. Kick. Turn links on Kick. Very complex, guys. Very complex. Channel actions. Turn links on Kick. Mr. Worldwide on 4 platforms. So true. We've got 26 people watching live on YouTube, by the way, guys. Please leave a like. If you're on YouTube, leave a like. So that way YouTube will recommend us to more people. Hey, Drew, big fan. Can you get Bianca Coleccia on the show? Is that the One Nation Italian model girl? Yeah, Taylor is a massive Hassan fan. Really cringe. It's extremely cringe, actually. Finally worked it out. Okay. You can now post links in the Kick. Thank God. That took so long. 27 viewers, 8 likes. Shake my head. Guys, you have to leave a like. You have to leave a like. Please, please, you have to leave a like. PFG says yes. If the One Nation stripper lady wants to come on the show, she can come on the show for sure. Okay, he's given. Now we've got the link. We've got the link. This is so important. Okay, hang on. When you wait down. Hang on, let me put some music on, guys. Got to put some music on. Very important. Very important. Okay. Found it. Beautiful. We've got it. That's going on the stream. Okay, let's watch it. Let me go through some of the comments. Okay, hang on. Massimo, Drew, I'll come on one day if you want. Sure. I've got to have a day where I just bring on the chatters. My mission is to get Drew to not punch left to the far left. Yes. Drew, I went on all my accounts and liked your likes. Thank you. One of the 9/11 hijackers stated a belief that Monica Lewinsky was an Israeli agent sent to corrupt Bill Clinton. So true. We'll talk housing about AI. Come on, what the fuck is this? Come on, guys. We've got to watch it for scientific purposes. Come on. Okay. Okay, well, let's watch it.
Você é um lixo, imundo.
It's fucked up. I'm warning you, it's fucked up, everybody.
Lambe a mão do teu Deus.
It's fucked up.
Seu merda. Beija quem você idolatra.
It's fucked up. I hate it.
Lixo.
I hate it.
Seu merda. Lambe meu pé, lambe. Imundo.
Hang on. I'm just going to do the meme. I'm just going to say this is the average Groiper meal when they go to Latin. People say, what the hell is this? Hands on the table, Drew. The hands are in the air. I'm not interested, please. Oh, Glenn released a statement. Okay, let's see. He's going to blame Israel or something like that. This is going to be so fucking funny. Someone said, open your stream to this. I'm sorry, man. You're fucked up. I'm condemning it. Oh, beautiful. He just released a statement. Oh my God, guys. He just released a statement. Last night, videos were released online depicting behavior in my private life. Some were distorted and others were not. They were published without my knowledge or consent, and its publication was therefore criminal. Though we do not yet know exactly who is responsible, we are close to knowing the motive was a maliciously political one. So saying the Jews did it is very funny. As for the content of the videos, I have no embarrassment or regret about them. The videos depict consenting adults engaged in intimate actions in their private lives. So true. They all display fully consensual behavior, harming nobody. Obviously, it can be uncomfortable and unpleasant when your private behavior is made public against your will. That's why the behavior is private in the first place. But the only wrongdoing here is the criminal malicious publication of the videos in an attempt to malign perceived political enemies and advance a political agenda. Others are, of course, free to form their own judgments, as some are prone to do about others' private lives. It won't change my work. I will continue to do all many prongs of my journalism and pursue the cause most important to me exactly as before. We stand with you, Glenn. Who among us has not been filmed sending 2,000 USD to a Brazilian gentleman to gorge on his feet for the purpose of enjoying succulent meal. Very funny, very funny. Sucking a Brazilian men's toes and paying money for sexual gratification. How did he even come up with that? Aren't you meant to be arrested? Why am I arrested? What did I do? Glenn X Pavlu, high IQ dream team. Brevity is the soul of wit. Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm we're streaming right now. We're having fun. This is such a funny tweet. Drew, you are acting like a child. Listen, listen. I'm not acting like a child. That's quite disturbing, that allegation. What is the charge? Being based. Holding a politically popular based opinion. So true. So true. Drew, is it ethical to promote videos that were released without consent? Well, Glenn retweeted it himself. So, I mean, he posted it for the world to see. Democracy Manifest. So true. So true. To be honest, this is actually a good point. I mean, it's probably better that Xi Jinping's daughter lives in America because then you can just never get nuked. How did this come out? The which part, the Glenn Greenwald one, or the Xi Jinping daughter living in America? To be honest, I might delete this tweet. Maybe a bit too unhinged. I would be for it if Dems were in charge. It's just going to speed up the coming conflict rather than avoiding it. What happened with Glenn? Glenn just posted a video of himself paying a Brazilian gentleman for the purposes of licking his feet. He paid the guy $2,000 on stream. It was very strange. I DM'd you a succulent One Nation meme. Okay. Lara Luma gets a say in who gets to be in the National Security Council. It's actually unhinged. Why do you have a side-by-side image with the dirty video? No, we're standing with him. We're standing with Glenn. Fucked up. How is Xi Jinping's daughter living in the USA a gotcha? USA has some of the best universities in the world, so everyone who can afford to study there does. Yeah, well, he posted the video to his main Twitter account, and that's how people saw it. And that's how I saw it as well, which was very disturbing. Sydney Sweeney is selling 5,000 bars of soap that contain drops of her own bathwater in collaboration with Dr. Squatch. The entire economy is increasingly just porn, sports, gambling, and crypto. I hit like. Resolving spouse-related trauma by gargling the sweat of a Brazilian gigolo. Don't yuck his yums, Drew. Exactly. Who are we to kink shame? Trump administration combination of competent psychopaths and completely insane crowd pleasers. Yup. Couldn't G just call Donald for an exemption? Dude, no one's gonna. I don't think Trump's gonna listen to Laura Loomer on this one. It's probably literally a good thing that, like, it's funny, it's crazy that it's literally insane that Xi Jinping's daughter studies at Harvard. But as people point out, you know what? In the end, it's probably a good thing because it's like it's almost like they can't nuke you while their own kids there, right? We've got 28 live viewers on YouTube, guys. Leave a like. So important. Please leave a like so that YouTube will recommend us to more people. It's really important. Ghana v Nigeria, the Jollof Derby. Powerful. Drew, do you have skeletons in your closet? Look, as of right now, this moment, I haven't engaged in financial domination role playing with a Brazilian gentleman involving feet. I have not done that as of this moment. He's wearing a skirt and is on his knees in front of a guy talking dirty to him. He licks his toes. He then goes on his laptop and sends $2,000 to the guy on PayPal. And he also had a meth pipe. That's so fucked up. So mental. I mean, we've all been there, right, guys? We've all been there. What can you say? What should I cover, guys? What should we cover? Hang on. Look, I will review my YouTube bans. Hang on. Let me go there. YouTube bans, blah blah blah. Hang on. All right, I'm going to do an amnesty, and basically everybody who I've previously hidden can rejoin. I hope that I don't have to ban anybody again. I'll do a temporary amnesty. I personally have not been there. I hope Glenn is okay. Yes, he's a brave gentleman, isn't he? A review of other prominent political sex scandals. That would be interesting, actually.
To everybody else.
Oh, okay. Andrew Tate. This is interesting. Andrew Tate speaks for the first time about his rape and trafficking charges. Claims UK doesn't care about women.
It allows grooming gangs to groom at length for decades. They don't care. They won't even investigate it. They won't look at it. They open the borders and allow in millions of military-age men, God knows where they're from, without passports. No one knows their criminal record, from questionable countries, which obviously have a misogynistic worldview, because I'm the world's worst misogynist. They allow these people to roam our streets. They pay for them to come, and they pay for them to live for free, which makes women unsafe. They have no time to police any of this.
So this is just his cope for being charged with 21 counts of rape and sexual trafficking.
They have no time to investigate any of this, but they have time to drag up allegations on me from 15 years ago for talking about these issues. If they cared about women, they'd fix the issues. They don't care about women. Do not buy it for a second. They don't care about women. They don't care about young girls being safe. They don't care about combating
just cope, basically. Tate is right, but two rapists don't make a right. Yup. Tate's basically saying, well, other people have been able to rape people, so why can't he rape people? That's basically what he's saying. Guys, what do you think? Do you reckon so Suleiman posts I stand with Glenn Greenwald, and then we see Suleiman with Nick Fuentes. Do you think they got up to something together? It's interesting. This is haram. A sheikh needs to issue a fatwa against him. Interesting. I'm not going to but Tate has ruined the transatlantic accent forever. Yup, that's facts. Black and proud. I tried to ask ChatGPT to make this image, and it wouldn't make it. I asked them to Studio Ghiblify it. Drew, how many handshakes do you think between you and Hitler? I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to comment on that. That's fucked up. Guys, he's literally us. Look at this. Mr. Musk has described some of his mental health issues in interviews and on social media, saying in one post that he has felt great highs, terrible lows, and unrelenting stress. He has denounced traditional therapy and antidepressants. He plays video games for hours on end. He struggles with binge eating, takes weight loss medication, and he posts day and night on his social media platform X. Who among us? Yeah, it's hard to denounce that. Dude, come on, Drew. This is fucked up. What part? How many between you and Stalin? Do you know you can remove the community tabs from your homepage? What are you talking about? Destiny took his son to the Holocaust Museum after he started asking questions about the Holocaust. Oh, wow. That's fucked up. Groyper's got to him. We need the Drew v. Joel v. Phidias Bloodsport. I would destroy Phidias in a cage match. What else should we cover, guys? What else should we cover? Oh, this was funny. Just Ian Miles Chong trying to be involved. There was a Glenn Greenwald scene in this Oliver Stone film, Snowden, concerning. Drew, I'd love for you to have Shale on this stream about Israel Palestine. He would be more left than you, but I think you'd have a productive conversation. Actually, that would be interesting. Maybe I should have that. That would be pretty interesting. There's some pretty fucked up comments, guys, in the chat. Oh no, those are my tabs. Those are my tabs. Has Ian Miles Chong fallen off as a poster? Yup, he has. It's crazy. He's fallen off big time. It's actually very strange. If Drew joined the Rennick party, you would be a rising star. I disagree with Rennick's stance on the Middle East and Ukraine, guys. Shale. Yeah, no, I've talked to Shale before. Look at this guy. This is really interesting UK moment. Look at this. So this guy's a Greek-Irish rapper, born Neophytos Neophytiu, and he raps with a heavy Jamaican accent.
Lyrics pon tracks, me will bond them. Yo.
So this guy's Greek and Irish, and he raps with like a full Jamaican accent.
Me I go done them. This bad man chat to me gun them. Think of lyrics pon tracks, me will bond them. Which one I take me career fi fund them? Me a criminal from Hackney in a London. Pussy don't run up your gum them. Come me
That's hard,
gun
actually.
can't malfunction. Head a fall like the bridge over London dungeon.
It actually goes hard. I actually like it.
Talk a war, you are more than a problem. Mac 10, Tech 9 and revolve them. And the AK ready for dissolve them. Bazooka bomb them. Fuck them. Pussy try run them. Fuck with me.
Guys, he's actually Greek. He's Greek and he has a Jamaican accent. This is like literally me when I say that I'm Malcolm X.
You think say you're fun then. Tuggy, I go boss it up on them. Top movements rush them. No time for cost them. Them red eye like the box them. So me I go take it to the chorus then. If you bad, try this man, pussy. No me get mad, try this man, pussy. Straight body bag, give you this man, pussy. Get fucked like pussy, me a big man, pussy.
That goes hard. No offense to everybody, but that literally goes hard. Greek Irish rapper Tagawa. You know what? Let's watch some of his other stuff. Goes fucking hard, I have to say. He goes fucking hard. If you lived in the anarchist libertarian world, what would your survival strategy be? Would you ride Mad Max motorcycle and call yourself Drew Cutter? Yeah, we should literally form our own gang in the Mad Max world. I like that he's getting his hair cut, but he doesn't have hair. Yeah, no, he's funny video. Damn, he just goes hard with releasing content. Look at this. I hope he makes it. I'm actually look, I'm helping him, right? What one should we listen to?
Pussy. And them don't know we not get shot. Police a boss it up and bad man a boss it back. Boom a drop, city lock, war God rise the clock. Car pussy or forget gunshot. Me say, me not in a long talking pussy. This me.
Guys, he's Greek. He's Greek, you know. So when I post that I'm like the new Malcolm X and stuff, just imagine this is what I'm doing.
They gonna be barking pussy. Gunshot stuck in a them like me dick in a your baby mother pussy. Where you want say pussy? Huh. Fuck your opinion, fucking pagan. Say what I want.
It goes hard, actually. It goes hard. He's like 50. Yeah, no, he's 50. But honestly, respect to him. He releases a music video every week.
A soldier, cops not feds. We was anytime, any place, anywhere. Walk God, kill them. Hear what me say.
Damn, interesting. What do you guys think of this rapper, guys? Bomber clap.
Pussy clap. This girl says she love me. I don't love her, fuck. And I don't play rugby.
Okay, the chat goes next chat. Okay. What should we? You know, let's cover this. This is Australian politics news. Very interesting.
The Australian Electoral Commission has announced
Pauline got 2 extra seats. No one saw it happening.
One Nation has won a Senate spot in New South Wales. Pauline Hanson's party has picked up the 6th spot in the state and means it now has grown to 4 Senate seats in total. Let's bring in our political reporter, Pablo Vinales, who is in Parliament House for us. Hi there, Pablo. How does this all pan out? Does it come as a surprise?
Well, it does come as somewhat of a surprise, and it comes off the back of One Nation claiming a seat in Western Australia, and it brings the party's total in the Senate to 4 seats. So that's in addition to the 2 that it holds from New South Wales, obviously the leader, Pauline Hanson, Malcolm Roberts, the one that it picked up in WA, and now this one in New South Wales, won by Warwick Stacey. So it is a positive result for One Nation. To give you some perspective, 4 seats in the Senate is the same amount that the Nationals have, and it is one short of having party status in the Senate. Now, the AEC has now declared all the results for the states and territories from the 2025 election. And just on that New South Wales count as well, it also confirmed that Labor has 2 seats, the Liberals have 2, and the Greens holding on to 1 seat in New South Wales. So what this means is that from July...
Guys, if you're watching, we've got 30 people live on the YouTube. Please leave a like. The more likes on the video, the better our recommendations will be in the algorithm. So please leave a like. Very important.
The Senate will have 28 Labor members, 27 in the...
Did Greenwald accidentally post the video, or was it intentional? He posted it to his Twitter. It was on his main Twitter.
Coalition, of course, that includes the Liberals and the Nationals. The Greens will have 11 spots. One Nation now will have 4. And there will also be members or independents that make up the crossbench, people re-elected like Independent Senator Jackie Lambie and David Pocock, as well as others. So the government needs 38 seats in the Senate to be able to pass legislation. So going forward, it will need either the support of the Coalition or the Greens to pass its bills through the Senate.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. Pretty surprising. They won 4 seats. Everybody expected them to win 2. Let's see if anybody's covered it on YouTube. Damn, he's literally just doing...
Glenn, just because I don't feel you've gotten enough annoying people sound bites to react to, I give you Kamala Harris.
Damn, he's literally just doing media today like it's nothing.
The cherry on the cake.
She's represented by CAA, who is clearly having trouble getting her bookings because she's over in Australia giving a speech to a real estate convention, which...
I don't think they would have won any more seats with the Freedom... I don't know. Like, they already did pretty well regardless, which is surprising.
I have been represented by CAA. Let me tell you, this is not...
Fala galera, beleza? Uma polêmica envolvendo o jornalista Glenn Greenwald, conhecido por suas reportagens investigativas e pela divulgação dos documentos vazados por Eduardo
Fucked up, guys. I don't speak Portuguese. It's fucked up. Gee, it's fucked up, isn't it? It's fucked up. I'm just trying to think. What else is in the news? What else is in the news today? Big up the Mundum.
Glenn.
Big up the Mundum.
Man's never been in marquee when
it's shut down, eh?
Trust me, daddy.
Hang on.
Man's never been in marquee when it's shut down, eh? Trust me, daddy.
Yeah.
Hey.
Man's never been in when it's shut down. That's not me and it's shut down. Ring pussy, it's shut down. Fashion week and it's shut down. Went to the show sitting in the front row in a black tracksuit and it's shut down. Touch the road and it's shut down. Boy, but I know when it's shut down. Yeah, take time if a man won't try me. No time. You say both when I run up on stage, I pick up the mic and it's really no time. Don't know your songs, but they know mine. That's why I got gigs just like Joe Grind. After the show, I'll be rolling mine. Don't care about no smoking sign. They're trying to steal my vision. This ain't culture, it's my religion. God knows I don't wanna go to prison. But if no one won't try me, trust me, listen. Me and my G's ain't scared of police. We don't listen to no politician. Everybody on the same mission, and we don't care about your ignorant schisms. Cause it's shut down. That's week and it's shut down. Ring pussy, shut down. Fashion week and it's shut down. Went to the show sitting in the front row on the black tracksuit and it's shut down. Push rolling and it's shut down. Boy, but I know it's shut down. You wanna act like a G for the camera. You say Muslim, you say Rasta. You say don't eat pork, don't eat pussy. Liar, you're just an actor. Look, you're not on your team. And it's like I told you, you say blood, take off the red, gold, and green. The men are soft like ice cream. See, start moving correctly. If you don't want to upset me, get me. You trying to show me your friendly, told you before, don't impress me, nah. I better make you respect me when you see the man them are selling out Wembley. Gold beaten, blacked out Bentley, pull up outside like one sexy. Yeah, and it's shut down. That's not me and it's shut down. Ring pussy, shut down. Fashion week and it's shut down. Went to the show sitting in the front row with a black tracksuit and it's shut down. Touch the road and it's shut down. Boy, better know when it's shut down. A bunch of young men, all dressed in black, dancing extremely aggressively on stage. Made me feel so intimidated, and it's just not what I expected to see on primetime TV. What do you guys think of the Skepta rap, guys? I know all the lyrics. Very powerful. Very powerful. For the first time ever, about a month ago, I decided to use ChatGPT solely to 100 Israelis can expect having 210 grandchildren. 100 South Koreans, 15. Thank you, Drew, for today's cultural enrichment. Of course, guys, it's honestly my pleasure. Very, very important. I'm in a different class. When I saw you doing my dance, 2 by 2 and I sit in the arc, sit in the front just like Rosa Parks. Trust me, you don't want to see me get dark. Trust me, you don't want to see me get dark. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Sorry guys. Forget that part. I was trying to do some Skepta and them things. Ah, that's not good. That's not good. You don't want to see me get dark. Now, guys, if you're watching, you have to leave a like. Please leave a like. Very important. Drew, read the Rennick Groyper post. That guy's funny. Which one? I wonder if Roberts is dishonest or willfully ignorant. One Nation stands between a competent nationalist party. Big cheap to claim Rennick just wants his own Senate seat when he actually put time and money into his own party. Got boost, man. Can't say the same for One Nation.
They tried to kill One Nation. One of the micro parties leaders even said that publicly on his social media.
Malcolm Roberts is such a fucking boomer. Just can barely even speak, honestly. Bradfield update. It's tired. Let's see the latest in Ozpol news on Leo Puglisi's Twitter account. Guys, if you're watching live on the stream, please leave a like. It's very important that you leave a like. What do you guys think that we should cover on the stream? What should we discuss? We're 1 hour into the stream. What should we discuss, my friends? Matt Curl is here. He says penis. Thank you, Matt. What is the charge? Eating a foot, a black succulent foot. Who among us? Who among us? Don't throw stones in glass houses is the famous saying, correct? Just trying to think. What's... Oh, you know what's one I've wanted to watch for ages? Britain is a dump. Can we discuss USS Liberty? I remember when I was 12 too.
Have you noticed?
I remember when I was 12 and I was reading Wikipedia.
How empty everywhere is these days?
Pick a book at random behind you and talk about it.
Britain is quickly becoming a nation of nothing.
I'm just obsessed with how bad Britain's doing at the moment. So I think we'll watch
A recent
this.
Cambridge University report finds the availability of parks, cinemas, train stations, public transport, GP practices, hospitals, mental health care, police stations, banks, cash machines, post offices, education facilities, theatres, swimming pools, museums, shopping centres, chemists, pubs and gyms have declined across almost all English areas since 2014. Under the Conservatives, funding for local government has been cut by over half since 2010. With such stringy finances, councils have had to be very frugal with their limited budget, selling off billions worth of public assets just to make ends meet, and raising council tax higher and higher to pay for worse and worse services. And even then, many councils are...
Why do you joke about not being white? I'm a black Turkish rapper. Drew, do you support Margaret Thatcher? No, I don't.
Are going into debt just providing basic functions. This is part of a wider economic policy pursued by the Conservatives over the past 14 years. One that was...
Guys, if you're on the YouTube, leave a like, please. Leave a like on our video so that more people will see us.
Intended to bring down government debt. Cuts to education to the tune of £10 billion, taking 14% from the most deprived schools. £5,000 less per pupil. Youth services down by a third. Environment down 20%, housing down by a half, and infrastructure down 55%, road repairs down 40%, 600 million slashed from yearly cultural spending. That probably doesn't sound like much, but 10 years down the line, the last 5 UK Christmas #1s have been a series of novelty songs about sausage rolls. In this frenzy of balancing budgets...
Guys, leave a like on the YouTube video. So important. We've only got 17 likes on the YouTube video. We need more likes so that we can reach more people. By the end of the 2030s, the Australian Navy will be bigger than the Royal Navy. Is that actually a real fact? The Conservatives did really fuck up the UK. Drew, is there any political party in the world that you support? Good question. Oh yeah, my non-shit post. Like I all these guys call me a Turk, so I just say, yeah, I'm black. Like I'm literally just shit posting.
The Tories seemingly forgot that there were people on the other side of those spreadsheets, and soon society began to quite literally collapse in on itself. St. Mary's Hospital in London has rotting
Catter party.
floors, flooding, collapsing ceilings, and sewage spilling out of the drains onto the outpatient ward. But St. Mary's Hospital doesn't qualify for urgent investment to repair these issues, because there are at least 5 other hospitals in worse condition, and there isn't enough money to repair them all. One hospital in Cambridge is so dilapidated that it is unsafe to treat overweight patients on the upper floors because the structure could give way at any moment. There are schools
That's
that are
amazing.
only avoiding
Holy shit, Britain is like literally becoming a third world country.
bankruptcy because every time the ceiling collapses, they get an apology payment from the company that was contracted to build the school. Some areas were exempt from budget cuts, like benefit payments, for example. So the goal became to get as many people off benefits as possible. And some of the ways they tried to do this are downright.
By 2040, Britain will have 19 service ships. Australia will have 20. What the hell's going on? What the hell's going on in Britain?
Like cruel. People on housing benefits who have a spare bedroom in their house could be forced to pay a penalty. This would encourage them to move to a smaller house, thus reducing the overall amount of benefits that need to be paid. But some people need a spare bedroom in their house to store medical equipment, because 2/3 of the penalty payers were disabled. This was a tax on low-income disabled people, and hundreds of thousands fell into poverty as a result. How much did this policy save? After 2 years, 390 million. Not even 1 day of health service funding. Estimates for the number of people killed by strict welfare policies run into the tens of thousands. The Conservatives have created one of the most frugal governments in the developed world and contributed to the longest and deepest period of wage losses since the Napoleonic Wars. The last 14 years of Conservative government have been...
Holy shit. Wage regression, negative £18,500. That's actually fucked up.
Worse for your finances than the Great Depression. In a modern society, when the government ceases to work...
Britain has actually regressed worse than the Great Depression. That is actually insane.
Everything ceases to work. The British economy has seen no growth in the past 15 years. The median salary in Britain hasn't changed in over 15 years. If we had maintained the pace of wage growth we had before 2008, we would have, on average, about £11,000 more in disposable income each. The average family in Poland and Slovenia is set to be better off than the average British family by the end of the decade. People who live in the former East Germany, who spent 44 years under a communist dictatorship, are now richer than the UK average.
That's
It wasn't
so
always
sad.
like this. Cast your mind back to 2007.
It's actually so sad how Britain has fallen. It actually legitimately makes me so sad. Actually makes me like want to cry almost.
I was in year 3 and spending all my allowance on Club Penguin. Things were far from perfect, but materially, we were all better off. Huge strides had been made in reducing child poverty. Crime had been on a downward trend since 1995, and the health service was in such good shape that people complained the waiting list to see a doctor was too short.
If I ring up and ask, say, on the Monday for an appointment on the Wednesday, no, you'll have to ring back Wednesday morning. That's right.
Sorry, yeah, but surely they're not saying to you that you have to have it quicker than you wanted. Well,
Per capita, Britain was one of the richest countries in the world, beaten only by a few tax havens and oil states. The average British person was richer than the average in the USA, France, Japan, Australia, and Canada, but in 14 short years, we threw all of that away. The British economy has even performed worse than Russia, a nation crippled by sanctions, a costly war on its own doorstep, and where 1 in 5 people are alcoholics. I cannot stress how utterly over it is for the UK. 1 in 3 children are in poverty. In places like Newcastle, it's as high as 41%. 1 in 20 children can't even afford to sleep on a mattress. 800,000 people went to hospital for
Oh my god, dudes! Like, this actually makes me want to cry. Britain is so in decline. Conservatives actually fucking destroyed the country.
Nutrition last year, up 300% since 2013. In 2010, the charity Trussell Trust delivered 41,000 food packages to struggling families. In 20
Holy shit! Did you guys see that?
41%. 1 in 20 children can't even afford to sleep on a mattress. 800,000 people went to hospital for malnutrition last year.
Wow, change in average height for 5-year-olds in the UK. It's literally declining.
Up
Due to malnutrition.
300% since 2013. In 2010, the charity...
We've got 31 people watching the video, guys. Please leave a like. Please leave a like. Very important. Please leave a like. It's very important. Leave a like on the video. YouTube will recommend us to more people. Very important.
Russell Trust delivered 41,000 food packages to struggling families. In 2023, it was 3 million, an increase of 7,000%. Enemies of Britain, you should be doing victory laps, host a party, invite all of your friends. When the Conservatives arrived in office in 2010, the Treasury under Labour had been running a deficit of £150 billion a year trying to weather the 2008 global financial crisis. If another big crisis were to happen, like a public health emergency or a major conflict, Britain wouldn't have the money to deal with it. So austerity measures were...
Do you support Brexit, Drew? No. No. They should be part of Europe. It's so much better to be part of Europe. The whole argument for removing themselves from Europe was that migration was so high. And so they replaced like migrants from Poland and Italy with like migrants from the poorest parts of the third world. And it just hasn't worked at all. It's just not working well, is it?
As David Cameron called it, fixing the roof while the sun was shining. It has now been 14 years since the Conservatives took office, 9 years since they shook off the Liberal Democrats and governed alone without compromise. Yet the roof was never fixed. Things did not get back to normal when the deficit was under control. And when it did rain, it rained hard. Our crippled island stood no chance against the tumultuous 2020s. The Conservatives justified their budget cuts economically with a 6-page research paper called Growth in a Time of Debt, which suggested that too much debt would severely hamper economic growth and recovery from recessions. Needless to say, this paper was fraught with errors, including an Excel typo, which threw off all the calculations and drastically overemphasized the results. Even the writers of the paper eventually said that the paper was wrong, and a revised version of the study revealed that austerity policies were much less effective than first thought. But that doesn't matter to the Conservatives anymore. They stopped pursuing financial stability long ago, and are now engaging in a nefarious social re-engineering program that specifically targets the poorest areas of the country. That sounds like some kind of left-wing conspiracy, but no, they openly admit to taking from the poor to give to the rich.
Our managers start changing the funding formulas to make sure that areas like this are getting the funding that they deserve, because we inherited a bunch of formulas from the Labour Party.
Left-wing social re-engineering program that specifically targets the poorest areas of the country. That sounds like some kind of left-wing conspiracy, but no, they openly admit to taking from the poor to give to the rich.
Our managers start changing the funding formulas to make sure that areas like this are getting the funding that they deserve, because we inherited a bunch of formulas from the Labour Party that shoved all the funding into deprived urban areas. Then that needed to be undone. I started the work of undoing that.
But is that the end of the story? After all, we're only 10.81% of the way through the runtime of this video. It turns out that many of our nation's problems are actually decades old, and when the Tories quite literally ripped up the social foundations of the nation, they brought all of them out into the open at the same time. A cacophony of catastrophes, aren't we lucky? If you live in Britain and you're around my age, you probably scarcely even remember living in a world outside of late trains, littered streets, shuttered shops, and crumbling schools. My viewer base is mostly 18 to 30-year-olds who, for the first time in a century, are more likely to be living with family than having their own home. You should be out enjoying your 20s, throwing parties, having loads of sex, making a name for yourself. How is that possible if you're stuck in your childhood bedroom, still with your Mr. Men bedsheets from when you were a kid, subject to your nagging parents, the only other options giving away like half of your income on rent, or getting locked into a 35-year mortgage on the most boring house you've ever seen? That's not projection, just in case you thought it was. You probably didn't, but just in case you did. Don't blame yourself. You're not a failure. Look around. We're all in the same boat. Nothing is new. Everything is at least...
It's so depressing, guys. It makes me want to cry. Literally makes me want to cry. Britain's such a beautiful country. Why did they have to do this to themselves? Guys, we've got 30 people watching live on YouTube. Please leave a like if you're watching live on YouTube. Leave a like. YouTube will recommend us to more people.
40 years old.
Look at this, guys. It's just a disaster.
Houses are so damn expensive these days. The average house price has increased 224% since 1990, far outstripping wages over the same time period. The problem is we're being haunted by an unholy Frankenstein ghost of socialist Thatcherism. In the 1930s, it was really, really cheap to build stuff. Interest rates were low, making it easy to borrow money and invest in new construction projects. You didn't need to ask permission to build. If you owned the land, you could build anything. The only rules were that the structure needed to be safe and well ventilated. Building was booming in 1930s.
How would you fix Britain, Drew? You need massive government you need massive government funding. You need to build state capacity. You have to crack down on crime. You have to lower migration.
1935 alone, 70,000 homes were built in London and nearly 300,000 across the whole UK, giving rise to the classic suburbs still around today. Construction became 17% of the UK economy and accounted for a third of all economic growth in this period. A lot of people didn't like this. The socialists within the Labour Party didn't like that private capitalist developers were dictating the national housing policy. So when Labour ascended to power after the Second World War, they introduced this, the Town and Country Planning Act of 1947. From now on, you must ask for government permission to build anything.
Literally abolished it, seriously.
So that any and all construction would be in the interests of the public, not profits. Everything must be built with the approval of the local residents.
Literally abolished this act of parliament.
The government, in theory being
They need to literally abolish it to fix the problem.
the representative of the local residents, could just give themselves planning permission. And for most of the post-war era, it was they who built most of the nation's infrastructure. Then, when the Thatcher government took power in 1979, they slashed the budget of national and local construction projects, believing that the private market would simply pick up the slack. What they seemingly forgot to do was repeal the law preventing the private market from building anything. And what does a policy such as that look like several decades later? Under a plan drawn up by the Poplar Housing Association, 330 homes in Tower Hamlets would be demolished and replaced by 1,600 modern homes, with 600 being designated as low-income housing. There was also added space for retail and transport right next to Canary Wharf, where all the high-paying jobs are. That sounds like in the public interest to me, and the public agreed. The council said yes, the planning board said yes, even the residents said yes in a referendum that was 90% in favour with a 90% turnout. But London's City Council rejected it because some people, quantity unknown, said that the buildings would be too high. And so the story goes, year upon year.
Yeah, it's like a mixture of NIMBYism is a massive part of this problem.
Up and down the country. Private developer wants to build, a small minority of local residents get up in arms about it, and the local council, not wanting to lose any voters, denies the planning permission, and the nation continues to stagnate. Just look at how old our buildings are compared to the rest of Europe. The
Whoa, that's a crazy stat.
majority of people live in houses built
Most common construction period of dwellings, and it's all mainly, literally 60, 70 years old.
For 1970. Last year, the estate agents Foxtons had nearly 100,000 applicants competing for over just 2,000 available properties. The waiting list for a council house in Brent is 14 years, with 20,000 people on the list. And as in all cases where supply is limited, those with deeper pockets always win.
If you ever do manage to escape that tier of the history classroom poster, you get locked into a 35-year mortgage, enslaved to a bank, giving away half their paycheck to a landlord who is oftentimes an actual lord, paying off a house that was built in 1925.
The streets of Strasbourg and Frankfurt, even Warsaw and Prague, are filled with boutiques and small businesses and cafes. On British streets, you will find nothing except Greggs, a WH Smith, or a betting shop if you're lucky. Independent businesses are priced out. Entrepreneurialism in Britain today is mostly drop shipping and ticket scalping. This is why
That's so good that entrepreneurialism is just drop shipping and ticket scalping.
we are thousands of pounds poorer than our German counterparts. We are the only country in Western Europe that is like this. Spain has built over 10 high-speed rail lines since 1992, most of them much longer than HS2. In fact, for €30, you can get a first-class ticket with a 2-course meal included with any journey over 2 hours. Why can't we have that? It's not a one-off novelty that gets featured in a Tom Scott video. It's a normal thing that normal countries have, and we don't have it. Britain's cities are more poorly served by public transport than those of any other wealthy Western country, including the car-centric suburban hell of the United States. Brescia in Italy.
Holy shit, so America literally has better public transport than Britain. That's actually a crazy stat.
Population 200,000 has a fully automated metro line built in 2013, with plans for 2 more. Leeds, population 500,000, is the largest city in Western Europe without a light rail or metro system. It may have something to do with how the bureaucratic inquiries required to construct a new tram station can cost more than the inquiry into the Iraq War. A small minority of local residents have the power to block any and all development, even if it's for the betterment of society, even if they benefit, like vetoing vital flood defences that could stop their homes from being destroyed because the defences would look kind of ugly. House building targets have never once been met since they were introduced 23 years ago, not under the Tories, not under Labour. So instead, the Tories just abolished the targets.
Which looks to me like turning off your smoke alarm just because you don't like the noise that it's making.
The houses that do get built are poor quality, cramped, ugly, and lagging behind our European neighbours. They have to comply with the silliest of regulations, such as absurdly small window sizes.
That's kind of small.
This regulation apparently exists because climate change might make people want to open their windows more so they can get some fresh air, and small children...
Wait, what? The regulation were introduced over fears that the hotter summers brought in by global warming will lead people opening their windows more. What the fuck?
Which looks to me like turning off your smoke alarm just because you don't like the noise that it's making.
The houses that do get built are poor quality, cramped, ugly, and lagging behind our European neighbours. They have to comply with the silliest of regulations, such as absurdly small window sizes.
That's kind of small.
This regulation apparently...
Yeah, they have a really good subway system in London, but not really outside of London.
...exists because climate change...
Like, without London, Britain would basically be one of the poorest countries in Europe. It's actually really sad.
...might make people want to open their windows more so they can get some fresh air, and small children could fall out of them. Instead of making windows smaller, why don't we just install air conditioning so people don't have to open their windows? Well, because air conditioning is more or less banned because it would use too much electricity. Can't we just make more electricity? Apparently not. Solar construction businesses have been waiting 15 years for permission to install solar farms
because one group in particular have been very vocal in their opposition to green energy. Have you guessed who it is yet? That's right, it's the Green...
This is why Drew must turn into a neoliberal. Look, I fully embrace the abundance agenda. I fully embrace abundance policies.
Party. 2014, Surrey, Reigate Green Party opposes a solar farm that could have provided green energy to over 3,500 homes. 2018, Kent, the Green Party opposes the installation of a new solar farm in uninhabited marshland. 2020, Hastings, the Green Party opposes plans to build a 2-megawatt solar farm. 2021, Derbyshire, the Green Party opposes any and all solar farms in the entire county, with Councillor Frank Adlington saying, solar farms are not the future of Derbyshire's energy sector. He goes on to say that if the Green Party were in government, there would be greater investment in offshore wind power, hydropower, tidal, geothermal, and other renewable technologies instead.
Mr. Adlington, Frank, I don't know if you've ever looked at a map of the county you represent, but it's landlocked. Second of all, you might want to check in with your fellow party members.
Because East Suffolk Council, which the Green Party controls, have blocked the expansion of more wind farms in the North Sea because they...
Oh my, literally, I'm at the point where I'd literally just say abolish every single council in Britain. Seriously. So blackpilling, so much regulation that you can't even build environmentally beneficial technology. Literally just abolish every council in Britain at this point, seriously.
...were alarmed by the current developer-led model. What a weird group of people. Climate change is an existential threat to humanity, but don't do anything about it if it means somebody would make a profit from the solution. Horror stories from bureaucratic Britain go on and on and on. 13 years to build an offshore wind farm, £1 billion to rebuild a roundabout in Bedfordshire. Victorian...
What the fuck? £1 billion for a roundabout?
£1 billion to...
What the fuck? How? £1 billion for a roundabout? What the fuck's going on? The Green Parties are just such a disaster, guys. They're very anti-human.
Rebuild a roundabout in Bedfordshire. Victorian-era telephone cables preventing the rollout of high-speed internet. £9 billion and 22 years to build a 3-mile tunnel under the River Thames. This tunnel has produced 359,000 pages of paperwork, and not a single shovel of earth has been moved.
How's Britain so shit?
Victorian-era telephone cables preventing the rollout of high-speed internet. $9 billion,
22 years.
Pounds and 22 years to build a 3-mile tunnel under the River Thames.
3-mile tunnel.
This tunnel has produced 359,000 pages of paperwork, and not a single shovel of earth has been moved.
Holy fuck, that's cooked.
Last year, India landed a probe on the moon for $75 million. We could have landed Britain on the moon 100 times for the cost of planning to build a 3-mile tunnel. And it's not just the big projects that get blocked.
No.
With the rise of smartphones, these iconic British red telephone boxes have become public urinals and billboards for prostitutes. But when local entrepreneurs wanted to turn this Lambeth phone booth into a coffee kiosk, locals rejected the idea because it was, quote, out of character in a conservation area of historic interest.
Presumably, this would ruin the historical value of a giant mural of a girl in a bikini.
It could very well be that we never get good infrastructure ever again. A report by the Resolution Foundation suggests that in order to fix our decrepit infrastructure, we would need to double taxes to raise the funds necessary. Keep in mind that when this report was
Does Glenn Greenwald support the IRGC? Yeah, he's fully supportive of Iran.
The Tories have raised the tax burden to the highest ever since World War II. So we'd have to double that just to get infrastructure up to the standard of our fellow Europeans.
So it would seem that the government can't really do this alone. We have to return to the planning rules of the 1930s so that the private sector foots some of the bill. So long as it is safe and fit for human habitation, you should be allowed to build whatever you want. No permission required.
If you want to build a stadium in the Chilterns or something, that's when the neighbours should be consulted. You know what kind of place has rules like this?
Tokyo. And who'd want to live in a dense, overcrowded third world slum from hell like Tokyo? This is not Tokyo, this is a green screen.
But a strict planning system isn't the only sucker punch this act has had in store for British prosperity.
They need to literally repeal the Town and Country Planning Act. They have to do that. They have to get rid of it. And they have to basically abolish like half the councils in Britain.
The 1947 Act also introduced the concept of greenbelts. The land surrounding cities would be frozen in place, banned from being built on or altered in any way, even land that looks like this.
Greenbelt land, beautiful. You must protect this beautiful fucking land. Beautiful nature.
Building on just 1% of Greenbelt land could deliver 700,000 new homes. We reduce the size of the Greenbelt by 10%, and that's 7 million new houses. Just 10%. Greenbelt defenders like to say that it's there to stop cities sprawling outwards, give the city's working class a beautiful place to explore, and protect nature. Although none of these claims hold much water. We could double the size of every UK city, and it would still only cover 12%.
Guys, if you're watching the YouTube video right now, if you're watching our stream, please leave a like. We've got, how many likes have we got on the video? We've got 22, I believe. And the more likes, YouTube will recommend us to more people. So please leave a like if you're watching the video right now.
The island, leaving 88% free to be left to nature. The average city dweller visits the Greenbelt only once per year, and almost all Greenbelt land is privately owned. The only way you can enjoy it is by hoping there is a public footpath. With no other legal uses, this land is subject to intensive farming, which the UK National Ecosystem Assessment found is a net negative to the local environment. Empty fields are not protecting nature. The Peak District is nature. The Highlands are nature. This is not nature. This is not something worth protecting. Basically, I hate Clement Attlee. But his government introduced the National Health Service, the pride of Britain, that in 2020 was voted by the public as the coolest thing to ever exist, beating out James Bond, space travel, and Obama.
Wow, so surely it must be good, right?
In October 2020, during the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, revolutionary New York underground hip-hop artist MF Doom was checked into St. James's Hospital in Leeds. He had recently moved to Leeds from London, because many fans will be surprised to learn that just like Christian Bale and Champagne, Doom was actually British. Despite living in America almost all his life, a loophole in citizenship laws led to his deportation from the USA in 2012. Doom is one of the most influential hip-hop artists of all time, given the honor of your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. His storytelling is sublime. Vaudeville Villain, a personal favorite of mine, follows the exploits of a time-traveling drug dealer who gets trapped in New York's Upper West Side in 1993. Undoubtedly, one of the GOATs. At the time of his admittance, Doom was taking medication for high blood pressure, but NHS...
Who's worse, Glenn Greenwald or Bad Empanada? That's a tough one. I think it's tied.
Bureaucracy prevented medical staff from accessing records from the London hospital that had prescribed him the drugs. He had taken a different medication to usual and was developing a severe reaction. Within just a few days, Daniel Dumoulin was dead at 49. His wife alleges that overworked nurses couldn't check on his condition as often as required. This story is not well known because fans of New York hip-hop and people interested in British healthcare policies are typically very separate groups. But MF Doom was just one of the estimated 300 to 500 people who die every week due to delays in NHS treatment.
Holy shit.
That's 20,000 people a year.
That's a lot
And
of
this
people.
is because, and I know it's kind of sinful to say this, but the NHS isn't very good at keeping people alive.
For 30 years, the UK has consistently had the lowest cancer survival rates of any developed nation. The NHS performs worse than average in the treatment of 8 of the 12 most common causes of death, including heart attacks and cancer. We are third worst in the developed world.
Who would you rather look after kids for the weekend, Hassan or Hitler? That's a close one, isn't it?
At treating curable illness. Infant mortality is 27% higher in Britain than the Western European average. Since 2010, wait times for ambulance have doubled. More than a quarter of NHS wait more than 4 hours help. The number of people waiting for NHS is 200% in 2010, with 20,000 people waiting more than 2 years treatment. 66% of the population are overweight and off. One of the few things the UK ranks the highest in is healthcare equality. So at the very least, whether you're rich or...
Drew, was it your foot in the video? Oh, I can neither confirm nor deny, everybody, please.
Poor, white or black, we're all equally dead of COVID-19. Not only are the outcomes terrible, the pay for those working in the sector is truly appalling.
The starting salaries for junior doctors in places like Australia, Canada, the United States and France can be up to double the £29,000 basic that junior doctors would earn here in the UK.
If pay had kept up with inflation, junior doctors would be earning £20,000 more per year. Other countries know this. Australia is now offering huge benefits for British medical workers to abandon the NHS and move down under.
But the UK is the main target where this ad will air from Sunday.
And it's why Western Australia welcomes you to be part of WA Health. Financial incentives available. Apply today. Authorised by the State Government Perth.
And it's working. 1 in 7 doctors trained by the NHS have since moved to another country.
Wow.
Double as many as any other developed country. We are literally paying to train other countries' doctors and nurses. The unions have done their best to fix the situation, but let's not pretend they're not partially at fault. In 2009, the British Medical Association successfully lobbied the government to put a cap on the number of medical school places available to British students, because they thought that fewer doctors would lead to higher pay.
Genius.
And it worked. Due to staff shortages, hospitals have resorted to hiring freelance doctors to cover shifts, paying over £2,500 to hire one doctor for one afternoon. What can we do to fix all this? Nothing. It's pretty hard to improve a system that is literally already praised as a god.
Today, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh were among those to celebrate 75 years of the National Health Service. The Prime Minister and leader of the opposition read Bible verses for an institution which has often been described as the UK's national religion.
National religion. Yeah, there really should be no caps on medical schools, hey?
The Holy City, the New Jerusalem.
So whatever you're thinking, whatever crazy idea you come up with to fix the NHS, ain't happening. Because no matter what idea you come up with, the public and the media will accuse you of supporting the total abolition of the NHS, and that we will be only a few years away from being like Americans paying $50,000 for stitches, which makes any kind of meaningful reform politically impossible. None of these conspiracy theories ever come true. In fact, the King's Fund, a pro-NHS think tank, finds no evidence at all of creeping privatisation of the health service. Decentralising the system. Labour have been talking of giving away power. Perhaps the answer is making the NHS more local, for local people. Well, in 2003, Labour introduced foundation hospitals, giving NHS hospitals a degree of independence from the government. The British Medical Association, the Royal College of Nursing, and 130 backbench Labour MPs opposed the idea due to fears of privatisation, and The Guardian said it would effectively privatise NHS hospitals. It didn't.
Would you rather be Glenn Greenwald or the Brazilian man? I'd shoot myself.
Contracting private companies to run medical facilities. This is what they do in Sweden to keep down costs, because around 40% of GPs in Sweden are run by private companies contracted by regional health authorities. In 2012, the coalition introduced the Health and Social Care Act, which, among other things, made it easier for private companies to be contracted to do NHS work. The BMA said it was an affront to the public service ethos that glues the NHS together. The BMA must unmask this reform agenda for what it really is, the final step in the privatisation of the service. It wasn't. Paying for GP appointments. Among countries with single-payer healthcare, Britain is actually in the minority of countries without any form of upfront costs. An appointment with your doctor in Norway will set you back about £20. In France, a more modest £6.50. In Ireland, the appointment is free, but a blood test is €30. Of course, if you are low income or elderly or chronically ill, it's free. If a similar system was done in the UK, it could raise a few £billion every year. But last year, when a former NHS boss proposed a £7 a day payment for hospital stays to ease pressure on NHS finances, the campaign group Keep Our NHS Public called it a harebrained idea and a zombie policy. I assume Norway didn't get the memo.
Norway's such a good country, wow.
Give it more tax money. This is what everyone says they want, but even this is not enough to placate conspiracy theorists. Since at least 1970, the UK has been below average on healthcare investment compared to other advanced countries, except for 2 years under the last Labour government. Yet, when Labour was investing in the health service at the highest rate in its history, they still had to roll out PR managers to make it very clear to the media that they were not secretly privatising the NHS.
Comment by Sir Sherpa. This is retarded. There's deeper structural issues at play. New Labour's constitutional reforms, devolution, the Human Rights Act, and Supreme Court creation shifted power dynamics in ways that fragmented authority and created competing centres of influence. They strengthened Quengos and weakened Thatcherite market reforms. The NHS has supplanted the Anglican Church. Interesting. That is, look, it is interesting whether devolution and these things worked. The theory was actually Richard Hanani filming the video of Glenn Greenwald. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true, guys.
NHS. Because they weren't. Do you know what the absolute worst part about this is? We already spend more on healthcare out of our own pockets than Americans. The NHS is in...
Wow, that's actually a really bad stat. I didn't know that. I didn't know that, like, people in Britain pay more for healthcare than America. That's horrible.
Such a state that's...
Do you like your healthcare in Australia? I would say healthcare in Australia is pretty good. I think that's an area where we are overall much better off. Compared to the NHS, I think the Australian public system is really good.
Switching to the American system would probably be an improvement.
Obviously going to be interesting.
Financial wars are being fought between the world's elite businessmen. The battlefield is London, and you, the British taxpayer, are paying for them to exploit the legal system for their own gain. At the same time, money is being siphoned off from the police and court system to fund these exploits.
How are wait times in Australia? I don't think wait times are that bad in Australia. I think we're pretty lucky with that. We've got a really good system, actually. We've got a really good system.
Rendering crime effectively legal in the UK. Private prosecutions are an archaic legal procedure invented sometime in the Middle Ages. Prior to the introduction of the modern court system in the 19th century, if you wanted to bring someone to justice, the only way to get it was to pay for it yourself. Get permission from the government, hire some lawyers and a judge, rent out a courtroom, recruit some jurors, and run the trial yourself. And legally, this is a legitimate court that can find someone innocent or guilty and put them in prison. In the past, this has allowed the common man to obtain justice if the Crown courts refused to hear the case. In 2017, it was used to put a Russian millionaire behind bars for defrauding £1 million from an investor. In principle, it's a good idea. Okay, but here's the twist. Unlike a regular trial where both parties cover their own legal fees, in a private prosecution, the government funds all of your legal fees, but not the fees of your opponent. What a perfectly balanced game with no possible exploits. When coalition budget cuts prevented the legal system...
Who would you rather eat dinner with, Glenn Greenwald or Bianca College? Definitely Bianca. Definitely Bianca. Get it off your channel. Get their photo off if you're supporting him. I'm not supporting Glenn Greenwald. I'm against Glenn Greenwald. I'm joking. I remember that person putting a weapons factory in New Hampshire hostage and went to Cuba for propaganda and then went back to Miami airport wondering why she's being in jail. NHS to UK is almost like guns to US. Every possible data point tells you it's functionally worse, yet general public just have a kind of dogmatic belief. Stop king shaming. So true.
Functioning properly, many of London's wealthiest and most corrupt businessmen instead turned to private prosecutions. They started accusing their rivals of stealing millions of pounds or breaking contracts on a technicality. If you win the case, you can send your opponent to jail or give them an unlimited fine. Even if you expect to lose the case, that's also a-okay, because you can drag out the trial until your opponent goes bankrupt. And the British taxpayer pays for you to do it.
Hey, Con, how you going, mate?
It's a no-risk bet. Anyway, the cost of giving free taxpayer money to billionaires to sue each other into oblivion has completely wiped out all of the savings made from budget cuts to the police and court system since 2010. Oh well, I guess we'll just have to tax disabled people some more to make up for it. If you commit a crime in Britain today, there is at least a 95% chance you will get away with it. And that's not me being hyperbolic. Look at the rate of reported crimes that end in a criminal charge. Assault.
Kauken, thank you, mate. Thank you for the super chat. We very much appreciate you. $5 super chat. Very powerful. Extremely powerful. Thank you so much. That's going to the Glenn Greenwald Defense Fund. Max says, so what are we watching? This is a mini documentary on how Britain is in massive, absolutely massive decline. Called Britain is a Dump.
5%. Stalking, 5%. Harassment, 4%. Burglary, 4%. Criminal damage, 4%.
Holy shit.
Vandalism, 3%. Vehicle
Yeah, crime is literally legal in Britain.
theft, 2%. Muggings and pickpocketing, 1%. 248 phones are stolen in London every day, and only 2% of them are ever recovered. Most police don't even investigate stolen phones, even though there are trackers.
They literally defunded the police in this country. How did it go? My God. They literally did prison de-incarceration. It's actually weird how much they love the NHS in the UK. I talked to my UK friend about it and they sound immensely ill. It is pretty funny. It is like, it is something they worship. Just finished watching latest Mission Impossible, Bottle of Red Down. Well done, Max. Well said.
In every phone to tell the police exactly where the stolen phones are located. The crimes with the highest charge rates are shoplifting at 14%, which is frankly amazing considering nearly 3 in 4 reported lootings by criminal gangs don't even get a police response, and cannabis possession at 15%. Evidently, police...
That's so fucking retarded. So cannabis possession gets 15%. 15% of cannabis... 15% of cannabis possession cases get a criminal charge, but like 2% of assault cases get a charge. That is fucking genius.
Police think smoking a joint and watching videos of baby...
Does the video you're playing ever talk about the unchecked jihadism in the UK? Let's see. I don't know. Like, I don't think he doesn't discuss it. He should discuss it as well. I mean, it's part of the problem. It's part of the problem, of course. Private system alongside public system. I mean, yeah, in Australia, you've got a public system, but you can get private healthcare. It's kind of funny. British Parliament would better off have the gun law in US so they can solve their crime problem, and US should get NHS for their healthcare. Sorry to go so hard on your stream this morning, just spitting straight facts. Okay, Max. The only place in the UK I've been to was the Cayman Islands, and everyone looked like they had a better life than everyone in the UK. Yup.
Pandas is a bigger threat to public safety.
Theory, James Lindsay was the Brazilian guy in the Glenn Greenwald video. What's that theory based on?
Than stalking or burglary. If the police won't protect us and we can't own guns for self-defense, you would think the party of personal responsibility would at least legalize pepper spray. Sadly, even the mild...
Yeah, I think he said 5% of assaults end up with a charge. So 95% of assaults in Britain never get a criminal charge.
This pepper spray is considered a weapon and you can be arrested for carrying it. Meanwhile, the cops have been told to not bother arresting actual, real, genuine criminals, instead sending them away with a warning. People like you and me, average people who only commit minor crimes like movie piracy and cannabis smoking, get the full weight of the law upon us, while blatant criminals can do whatever they want like it's the purge. Theft at knife point is basically legal, but a tower that doesn't look exactly like the brochure is prohibited and has to be demolished.
So fucking genius.
Being a lawyer is a tough job with long hours and low pay, but 25% of barristers have quit their job since 2017, and a further 25% say that they plan to. I would too if I was paid on average £12,000 a year. I think that's a typo. Let me check. It turns out it's true. It is.
Wait, what? Barristers get $12,000 per year?
Actually, £12,000 a year. The National Crime Agency loses 10% of its workforce every year due to quitting, probably because their officers earn 14% less than a regular beat bobby on the street.
Where do these barristers and special agents go? To the private law sector, where they get straight to work making 4 times the salary in private prosecutions, defrauding the taxpayer. By paying barristers poverty wages, the Tories have handed over our best lawyers to the hands of gangsters and foreign billionaires who exploit our legal system for money. So if the cops aren't preventing crimes, solving crimes, capturing criminals, or bringing people to trial, what are they doing? They're beating up people who were hosting a memorial service for a woman who was murdered by an off-duty police officer. I was sitting on a jury a few years ago, and in the waiting room, the woman sitting in front of me was chatting away to the person next.
Drugs are de facto legal. You would only get a charge if it meets the intent to distribute threshold. So he is lying in regards to getting a charge for a joint. Okay, true. Fair enough.
To her about how human rights are overrated and how it's harder to bring criminals to justice because of human rights. And this woman isn't in the minority. I think most people have an internal conscience that makes them act ethically, like Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio, but for a lot of British people, that conscience is Joseph Stalin. On almost every civil liberties issue you can name, opinion polls show that just over half of the British public...
I think this guy, I agree with probably 90% of his critique in this video, but he's not mentioning, infinity migration and Islamism in Britain, which is a huge part.
Will always pick the anti-freedom option. The death penalty, mandatory identity cards, monitoring all public spaces with CCTV 24 hours a day, detaining suspected criminals indefinitely without trial, warrantless wiretapping of innocent people's phones and text messages, keeping a record of every citizen's fingerprints, even if they haven't done anything wrong. At some point, it just gets ridiculous. 10 years in jail for travelers avoiding COVID quarantine. They've got no problem with police brutality either. It's this slim majority that allows the government to pass a whole host of authoritarian laws and get away with it. We used to be quite good at this, you know? Magna Carta, Bill of Rights, the birthplace of liberalism, ancient rights of Englishmen and all that. The problem is that the law works in precedence. Laying one brick doesn't do much, but it affects every other brick that comes on top of it. And this time, it was Labour who started building this wall to imprison us under the guise of safety. In the early 2000s, the Blair government passed a number of laws giving authorities the powers to do pretty much anything if they think it will prevent attacks from terriers. These laws have been used to detain a man for carrying a laptop and wearing a coat that was a bit too warm for the season, arrest a woman walking on a psychopath, arrest a man taking photographs of a disused road, spy on people that local councils suspected weren't picking up after their dog, and the Metropolitan Police used these powers to manhandle an autistic teenager for calling a police officer a lesbian. I'm sure they stopped a few actual criminals with it too. Under these powers, hundreds of thousands of people, disproportionately black, are subject to invasive searches by police every year. Searches that, by the government's own analysis,
Peter Hitchens is right. If Britain accepted a status similar to Austria's, it would be a much healthier position. The post-imperial hangover ruins them. I'm low-key addicted to watching YouTube videos of the decline of the UK. It's just so sad, seriously.
don't reduce crime. When stop searches were dramatically increased in 10 London boroughs, it had no effect on the overall crime rate in these areas. But this isn't as clear-cut as you'd think. There is some conflicting evidence. An independent analysis based on the whole UK over a 10-year period found that increasing stop searches by 10% led to a 0.01 reduction in violent crime.
The Glenn Greenwald situation represents the victory of the third world over Israel. Okay. Genius.
The most precious freedom of all is freedom of speech, but there is no freedom of speech in Britain. I mean, sure, the Human Rights Act says everyone has the right to freedom of expression, but then it is immediately followed up by the exercise of these freedoms, may be subject to such formalities, conditions, and restrictions or penalties as prescribed by law. In 2003, Labour used this exception to make it illegal to say offensive things over the internet, a crime of which we are all probably guilty, particularly me when I was 14 years old.
Do you honestly think you're...
This law has been used to prosecute a woman posting rap lyrics, some old men posting boomer memes in a private group chat, and a 20-year-old man who insulted a police officer. Look away if you're easily offended. This is really offensive and definitely worthy of a criminal conviction. Ready? Okay? He posted this. And, of course, worth mentioning that a conviction for posting an edgy video online launched the career of Count Stankula of the Mum's Basement Independence Party. So, up yours, Tony.
Now, on their own, it's not so bad. I mean, sure, there are a few false arrests, but all of these people were either never charged or had their convictions overturned on appeal. And surely that's worth it to keep us safe from crime and stop bigots ruining everyone's day.
Guys, if you're watching the YouTube video, if you're watching the stream, please leave a like. It would be very much appreciated. I think we've got, how many likes have we got on the video right now? How many likes on the stream? Sorry. 25 likes. Guys, we've got 30 people watching live on YouTube. Please leave a like.
Hey, what's the worst that could happen?
The Conservatives have built on these precedents to implement the most intrusive and wide-reaching surveillance laws ever passed in a democracy, giving a multitude of police and government organizations the power to silence dissent and investigate people without a warrant. Why did you give the Food Standards Agency the power to hack my phone for whatever reason and then be able to lie about it in court? Is my cooking really that bad? Just seems a little strange to me that the party that supposedly hates cancel culture and supports free speech, when given an opportunity to repeal these laws, just makes them worse by trying to ban legal but harmful online speech, by giving police power to shut down demonstrations, to impose location restrictions, noise restrictions, jailing protesters for holding onto things, and detaining
They ban ninja swords, true, but you can simply defend yourself with a large stick or pole.
anyone in the vicinity of a protest, even if they weren't participating, by giving police power to arrest protesters for being a nuisance. Do you even know what a protest is? We're building a country where the government can introduce a whole host of policies meant to curb the freedom of transgender people, but a tweet in support of these policies gets you arrested? No word of opposition from the opposition. I don't know what a protest is. We're building a country where the government can introduce a whole host of policies meant to curb the freedom of transgender people, but a tweet in support of these policies gets you arrested? No word of opposition from the opposition either. They supported these laws. Labour are just as authoritarian as the Tories. They just want better funding for public transport. I know it's kind of unpopular in left and liberal circles to stand up for freedom of speech, considering the movement has been co-opted by boneheads waving flags. Wait, what the hell is this guy doing? But if you don't stand up for freedom of speech, even the freedom of unsympathetic idiots, then the same laws will one day be used against you.
Hello, Ole. Drew Nation. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for watching, guys. We've got 30 live viewers on the YouTube right now. Please leave a like. YouTube will recommend the video to more people. Thank you.
And the causes you support. See how French police have the power to outright ban all protest in support of Palestine under the guise of anti-racism. That's coming here if we don't put a
not our poor Palestine protests.
Stop to this illiberal nonsense.
Before you know it, we're living in some kind of dystopian society where the government could put you in jail for publishing information that makes them look bad.
It's kind of cringe that this entire video he doesn't even mention that there's like a lot of bad jihadism in the UK. I think that's a big part of the problem with the UK right now, but
the UK has some of the most restrictive laws.
Not politically nice to talk about.
What you can eat, drink, or smoke out of any European country. And that's because of public health advocacy groups. It started in 2007 with the smoking ban. Now, everyone agrees smoking is bad and should be discouraged, but the ban on smoking was far stricter than bans in most other countries. We could have been more like Germany or Austria or Sweden, where pubs could choose if they wanted a smoking room. Not in Soviet Britain. Smoking in all establishments was banned completely. It melted our brains and changed the way Brits think about what the government should even be allowed to do in regards to our personal lives. Now, to be clear, I don't care about smokers. Your choices are stupid and enjoy your lung cancer. But I know that how the state treats smokers is the canary in a coal mine for how it will treat other unhealthy things that the rest of us can actually enjoy in moderation in ways that don't hurt other people. Because from this came banning cat, spice, and nos, banning buy one get one free offers, banning chocolate near checkout, banning flavored vapes, banning disposable vapes, banning big wine glasses, taxes on sugar, taxes on alcohol. The Welsh government wants to ban meal deals. A cross-party committee of MPs has recommended banning microwave dinners. Another campaign wants to ban fast food joints within a 5-minute radius of schools. Some campaigners even proposed putting a cap on the amount of sugar the country can import. You know who else wanted to stop the British importing sugar? The Nazis. None of this nonsense would be seriously considered if the smoking ban was not so harsh. The proponents of the smoking ban assured everyone that this would be the limit of government regulation. They didn't want to ban smoking, just restrict it to private residences. They lied. The incessant campaigning of big public health means a total ban on smoking is scheduled for next year, the only country in the world that is doing this. So if these paternalists say they don't want to ban takeaways or alcohol or Coke or birthday cake or chewing gum, they are lying. That's what they've been working towards. They don't think people should be allowed to make the choice to do something unhealthy. Who doesn't love a greasy kebab after a night on the town? Who doesn't see the value in a refreshing pint on a summer afternoon? These guys. If they had their way, all of these things will be banned.
And there's no practical justification. They claim it is to reduce pressure on the NHS because of obesity and other related illnesses, but the biggest pressure on the NHS isn't obesity, it's old people being old. And now we have a drug that cures obesity. These laws aren't necessary anymore. If you become morbidly Mr. Beast, just take the injection.
You might say, this is all an overreaction. Why am I dying on this hill defending Coca-Cola and Tesco Caterpillar cake? Because it's just one of the many death by 1,000 cuts that is making Britain a more boring place to live. Ditching Wi-Fi on trains because it is unaffordable, your local swimming pool removing the water slides due to budget constraints, closing museum exhibits, changing the inside of passports to remove the ships and trains and other British achievements for boring geometric shapes. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. A nation of nothing.
It can't be done! It can't be done, you haven't a chance, there isn't a possible way. The chains will mend, the girdle snap, the thing will blow away. What's more, we can't afford the price, it's rather high, you see. And he replied, it's great, you fools, and I am IKB.
This decade is an era of both crisis and prosperity. We live on the verge of quantum computers, nuclear fusion, DNA editing, life extension, Mars missions, and vaccines for cancer that will hugely improve our quality of life. But we will also enter a world of hyper-realistic AI video, robotic warfare, huge shifts in culture driven by faceless algorithms, and where anyone with $15,000 and a biology degree can print the next bubonic plague. An emerging China rivals the United States. An aggressive Russia threatens Europe. They have big plans for the world, plans that are in opposition to Western liberal democracies. The first and foremost point of a government at its very core is to protect the citizenry from external threats. This weakened country will fail to do so if we're not prepared. And we're not prepared. It is entirely possible to build a modern, functional, and prosperous state outside of the European Union. Take a look at Norway or Switzerland.
Yeah, I read about that, Nathaniel. The water companies in Britain just literally dumping raw sewage into the waterways, and it taints the beaches. Just so genius. Everything's going so well.
It does require a lot of effort and a lot of big thinking. It's a do or die project, and our politicians of all colours have chosen die. British politics is so petty and small-minded that it even has a name: managed decline. At best, this is just tweaking small bits at a time to gently guide the ship of state onto the ocean floor. I mean, can you really imagine Vladimir Putin or Emmanuel Macron giving a public address to celebrate banning phones in schools?
One of the biggest issues...
Fuck. This should be the work of a low-level cabinet minister, not the leader of a country with nuclear weapons. And at worst, it's intentionally ruining the few remaining strengths of the UK. Heathrow Airport is the busiest airport in all of Europe, an important centre for European tourism and transit. But building a third runway? Impossible. God damn it, it's the town and country planning acting.
Why can't they just build the third runway? It's fucking insane.
Yeah, isn't it? While other hot tourist destinations let visitors shop tax-free to encourage tourism, the UK hits them with a 20% tax on all purchases. The Premier League is the most valuable football league in the world. The Conservatives have sabotaged this by introducing a pointless regulator that does all the same things as the Premier's own internal regulator and turns football from a fucking game into a political issue. So now politicians are going to be interviewed about the rulings of football games than the actual issues of the day. Britain has been a free-trading, seafaring, buccaneering nation for centuries. In a world where power and influence are won more with container ships than at the barrel of a gun, if Britannia is to assert herself in this changing world, she must relearn to rule the waves. That means building ports up and down the country, expanding the navy, securing more trade agreements, because wouldn't it be awesome if we could walk into any supermarket and be faced with an overwhelming choice of produce from every country in the world? Unfortunately, the UK's largest port is in a sleepy coastal town 2 hours away from London. The proposed expansion of Felixstowe took 19 years to get approval because of the Town and Country Planning Act. In the same time, our great geopolitical rival China, which the Tories love to talk about how seriously they're taking it, have more than doubled the number of ports under their control, either by building their own or buying terminals in over 50 countries. There are currently zero plans to expand British port capabilities. For £18,000, you can give up a year of your life, 24 hours a day, in service of His Majesty's Navy, being sent halfway across the planet from your friends and family to fight pirates. Or you can stack shelves at Tesco for a few days a week. I know which one I would choose. The Royal Navy has been so underfunded and soldiers so underpaid that there is now a shortage of troops. 2 ships have been retired.
What do you think of Tommy Robinson? I mean, he was a former violent criminal.
Due to lack of staff, and the government is now resorting to LinkedIn for retired rear admirals to command vessels. Within 10 years, the UK will become the only advanced country without the facilities to make steel from raw materials. We are shutting down all the blast furnaces. So if there is
They literally cannot produce steel. That's fucking crazy.
the war, like right now, and we need submarines and ships to defend ourselves, like right now, where are we going to get the steel?
I worked for Scottish Water during its takeover by Thames Water. Absolute shit show. Sewer treatment plants everywhere overflowing into creeks trying to fix,
From Rishi? Will I have to pull shopping trolleys out of my local river to make aircraft carriers with? Oxford and Cambridge are still an engine of innovation and scientific achievements. Their universities remain 2 of the best universities in
Yep, he is a former criminal.
the world, and the UK takes the silver medal when foreign...
All of these people are making fun of Glenn Greenwald as if we haven't done the same thing. Very well said, my friend. Very well said. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
Are asked where they'd most like to study. Right in between them is Milton Keynes, a major high-tech manufacturing hub. Many countries would kill for an arrangement like this, yet Britain's small-minded thinking is squandering that gift. British neuroscientists and quantum computers are paid as little as $50,000 per year. Astronauts with a PhD, fluent in Russian and with dual US citizenship, paid a mere $40,000. Engineers in the United States are paid double what they are in Britain. In 2017, a single computer virus took down the entire NHS overnight. How will it survive an AI virus that learns its own weaknesses and patches them up as it proliferates? How would our energy infrastructure cope with a huge cyber attack of the kind inflicted on Ukraine during this war? The answer is that it wouldn't, because it can't. Housing Secretary Michael Gove, a man who makes me ashamed to be a Michael, finally did something in his 14-year career of making things worse and proposed doubling the size of Cambridge by building 150,000 new homes around the city. This would, in theory, double the output of the city and double the amount of scientific achievement. And maybe then we can finally catch up with the USA and Germany and China and be more than just a collection of hedge funds with Bulgaria stapled to it. The local member of parliament, Conservative by the way, objected to this proposal of more scientific advancement and free investment money on the grounds that Cambridge didn't have the reservoir capacity to supply drinking water to all the new residents that would move there. So let's talk about the reservoirs. Can we talk about the reservoirs, Mac? Can we talk about the reservoirs? From 1970 to 1980, Britain built 10 new reservoirs. That's 1 per year. Since 1992, Britain has built 0 reservoirs. Yet the population has gone up by 10 million people. To build a new water reservoir, the MP said, would take up to 20 years. 20 years to dig a hole in the ground and wait for it to rain. On an island where it does nothing except rain. So we can't have a super futuristic technology hub, we can't build smartphones, we can't program robots or build supersonic jets, or even build enough houses so that people have somewhere to live. Oh, don't bother creating a better society, guys, because we're too lazy to build a reservoir. We're rationing water now in a supposed first world country. But it's okay, because Rishi Sunak has unveiled he's spending £1 million on 100 new chess sets in parks up and down the country. Nowhere has this utter failure. Sorry, 100 chess sets. That's it. That's your latest, greatest policy on how to fix the country. 100.
Do you have thoughts on this video, Drew? I mean, it's just sad watching Britain decline into just absolute disaster. I mean, it's just so sad. I literally want to cry watching this.
100 chess boards. They're not even going to give us the pieces. Can't you at least give us the knights? You seem to have a lot of them, considering how many L's this government keeps taking.
Nowhere has this utter failure to become a modern country been more evident in the fight around HS2, the most rudimentary of 21st century transport that we just can't seem to get right. The actual building of the track is actually proceeding on time and on budget. It's just getting to that stage that costs so much. Every mile of track is ferociously debated, discussed, subject to committee meetings, costing analysis, public scrutiny, local hearings, and objections from environmentalist groups, hugely ballooning the cost. After 15 years under construction, the 140 miles of railway line is set to be...
Do you want to watch something that makes you happy? No, we should all be fucking sad. Milton Keynes was the last new city they built, named after John Maynard Keynes and Lord Milton.
completed by 2045.
Would it help if you put the Greenwald thing back on? I don't. No, we can't.
21 years until I can hop on HS2 and visit the newly opened Cambridge Reservoir. Even by the time the project comes to fruition, we will still have less high-speed rail than Romania, Greece, and Serbia. The government could write a law tomorrow that fixes all of this. If they really did care about making a success of Brexit, if they really were serious about governing the country, there would be an all-out mobilization of every aspect of government to make.
Yeah, I worry that Australia's in the same direction. I really worry that Australia's going to go the same way as the UK in the next 10 years. That's my biggest worry.
Into a country fit for the 21st century, but they won't. Okay, look, I don't care if it costs £1 trillion. I don't care if it makes 1,000 species of rare squirrel extinct.
This is the century of humiliation for Britain. Yeah. Century of humiliation.
Has to be built as a matter of principle, because if it doesn't, it is over for large structural change in this country. Whether you're on the left or the right, whether you want to reopen the steel factories or build a fleet of aircraft carriers or 100 nuclear power plants, we can't do it. If we can't do what Spain or France or China has done 10 times since the 1990s, we can't do anything. We will be stuck debating infantile politics, arguing about bin collections and potholes and whatever the hell wokeness is forever. It's not going to get any better than this. But for a lot of Brexiteers, maybe the most devoted 40% of them, that's totally fine for them. They proudly don't mind being poorer. They aren't bothered about building a powerful economy or having any influence on the world stage. They would gladly put up with any decline in their living standards, but so long as the government did one thing, bring down immigration. And the government didn't do it.
Oh, so this is the one part that he talks about migration. Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, I really don't want.
Max reckons that Australia's worse than Britain. I think that's wrong, Max. I think Britain is on another level.
Talk about this. Immigrants didn't elect this corrupt government. Immigrants didn't brutalize the poor or take away our freedoms. Immigrants didn't prevent us from building infrastructure. We did all that to ourselves.
Oh, so he likes immigration. Okay. I think this guy's too lefty, because nobody can say that the current state of migration in Britain is doing well.
But lucky for the pro-immigration side, the anti-immigration side is utterly incompetent. In 2010, the Tories promised to get the number of immigrants below 100,000 per year. In 2022, it was over 700,000. Nice one.
Drew, when we start doing video essays like this, lad, honestly, mate, I would love to. I really want to be able to do stuff like this. This is really inspirational to me. I'm watching this and thinking, I want to do video essays like this.
Migrants are being housed in hotels, country clubs, private lettings, or just dumping them on the streets of London. This is for an immigration system that is half as busy as it was 20 years ago. Now, there's this conspiracy theory that the Tories are secretly left-wing, and this is all a master plan to destroy the country with immigrants because of wokeness. But the real answer is that the Tories are definitely right-wing and definitely anti-immigration. They're just stupid motherfuckers. When France offered to build a migrant processing facility in Calais for the UK, operated by British workers, the Conservatives said no. Instead, the Tories sent £9 million of taxpayer money to Albania to improve the country and stop people wanting to leave. The money will be spent on a huge new hydroelectric...
I like this comment by Con. Greenwald, the problem, the hypocrisy of him being anti-West, knowing that in Putin's Russia, a video like that gets him thrown in a gulag. Yeah,
Damn.
True.
Industrial parks, environmental schemes, and leisure facilities for Albanians. By the way, 213,000 children in the UK could be living with lead poisoning because of faulty plumbing in over 100 schools. Not enough money to fix that, though, obviously. How do they get away with it? The pro-immigration side of the debate are so bad at arguing their case. They often...
I agree with you. I agree with Drew. UK is much worse. At least Australia isn't completely depressed. We still have a positive outlook. We have every resource to, and we still have higher wages than Britain. If you don't start making video essays, China will win. No, dude, I want to start making video essays. That's the goal. The goal for my channel is to do video essays like this.
Avoid very real concerns people might have about immigration with dismissive, twee-sounding memes.
I think you'll find that fish and chips are actually Portuguese.
Avoid enough money to fix that, though, obviously. How do they get away with it? The pro-immigration side of the debate are so bad at arguing their case. They often avoid very real concerns people might have about immigration with dismissive...
So he admits that there are some stupid arguments about pro-immigration.
Twee-sounding memes.
I think you'll find that fish and chips are actually Portuguese, your car is German, and your coffee is Italian. I'll have you know my wife is French and she's lovely.
Are you stupid? Racists aren't worried about French women. They're worried about tens of thousands of young men from some of the poorest countries in the world.
Pretty hypocritical of the British to spend 200 years colonizing the world and then...
Yeah, finally, he's got some good points about migration in this video.
Complain about foreigners in your country?
Jesus Christ, we're trying to make immigrants look good, not compare them to the fucking...
Yeah, it's... Oh, shit, my mic went out. I was just going to say, it's amazing the pro-migration side of the argument in Britain where they go, oh, well, it's actually just punishment for you running the British Empire. It's like, okay, how are you going to sell migration to the British public when you're literally framing it as punishment? I mean, that's just insane. Actually insane. Video essays too much work. Just watch other people's video essays and say, wow, this is crazy. Shut up, man. Come on, man. I'm going to do video essays. I've got to finish. I've got 1 week left of university for this semester. I smash out that week and then I'll get a video essay out, I swear.
Brits are massacre, most people lie somewhere in the middle. They want more high-skilled and educated immigration, but lower levels of other forms of migration. That's fair, but whether you want a liberal or restrictive immigration system, you can't have it if there isn't a system at all. The 2010 to 2024 Conservative government will go down in history as the worst British government since the Irish famine of the 1840s. Because unlike, say, the Thatch have not and have never had any reason behind what they are doing. They've just been winging it this whole time.
Many on the left would be shocked by how apolitical most of the Conservative Party is. There is currently no theory in Conservative politics. One former MP once told me that when he asked his association why they had picked him for a safe seat, he was told it was the lovely way you spoke about your wife at the selection.
Amazing. That's so funny.
MPs come to Parliament without any real belief other than a view that good things are good and we should do more of them and bad things are bad.
All that they do
is fucking brilliant. Trump's immigration plan is so cruel and disgusting to me that I actually became pro-immigration. South Florida is full of Cubans escaping communism too. God bless them. Yeah, look, I think Trump is too cruel the way he goes about it, but dude, like, infinity migration is not working in Britain and Australia and Canada. Glenn Greenwaldism is the final form of radical Duganism. Well said. Great comment. Britain will one day become a giant computer service, transferring brainwaves through the digital cloud. Get keen for it, Drew. This summer is the summer of Pablo, long streams and video essays. Facts, factually true. It's winter here in Australia, actually. It's winter here in Australia. In America, you have to take a bank loan to pay out for a break. The Irish famine was fine for the English and terrible for the Irish. Not a great example of the worst governing. I mean, fuck.
Isn't because of some kind of deep-seated ideological belief. It's because they're bored.
Now, I don't want to be a complete and utter killjoy, but I've just run the gauntlet here at Tesco's in Haslingden with my kids, past all the discounted toys, only to see that the Easter Bunny is already on the shelf. Easter, 31st of March this year. Let me know in the comments below whether you think Easter is coming to our supermarkets and shops too early.
In 1914, at age 22, Harold...
What the fuck was that one? What the fuck was this? Listen to this. What the fuck?
Now, I don't want to be a complete and utter killjoy, but I've just run the gauntlet here at Tesco's in Haslingden with my kids, past all the discounted toys, only to see.
He's complaining that there were Easter bunnies on the shelves too early. What the fuck?
That the Easter Bunny is already on the shelf. Easter, 31st of March this year. Let me know in the comments below whether you think Easter is coming to our supermarkets and shops too early.
In 1914, at age 22, Harold Macmillan dropped out of Oxford University to command a troop of working-class men on the front lines of France. He was shot twice and played dead in a shell hole for 12 hours, reading a pocketbook of ancient Greek while he waited for help. The upper-class Anthony Eden earned himself a military cross at the Somme for carrying a wounded soldier to safety under heavy German fire. It's no surprise that when these men later became conservative prime ministers in the 1950s, they presided over social democratic Britain, where taxes on the rich...
Drew, would you recreate the video of Glenn Greenwald on stream for $10? Fuck no. Oh god, that's an MP. Fuck me, Britain is really in decline. That story of Harold Macmillan reading ancient Greek poetry in a shell hole while pretending to be dead. Oh, that's an amazing story. Gee, the quality of politicians in the previous generations was just like another level. Made in Australia, hot cross buns appear on shelves until 27 December. Britain is a homeowners association with nukes. Yeah, it's not going good.
Rich were high, social security was generous, and the gap between rich and poor was at its smallest in our nation's history. At age 22, Boris Johnson, David Cameron, Michael Gove, and the rest of the Tory leadership were finishing up at Oxford University. They've never had to interact with the povos. They've never set foot out of the timeless country villages into the brutalist post-industrial nothingscape that most of us live in. They grew up attending fancy private schools, learning about how their ancestors rode gallantly into battle, administered whole provinces of India by themselves, or guided the empire to victory in a world war. They probably felt like they were missing all the fun. That's what Brexit was about. It wasn't about building a strong sovereign Britain outside of the EU, or else they would have done that.
This is pretty funny, actually.
Or at least tried to. It was about getting their photograph in a history textbook alongside their great-grandpa. And then, well, that's your legacy secured, really. Everything else is just killing time. Or at worst, engaging in corruption. Take, for example, Rishi Sunak, a millionaire so out of touch that he asks a homeless man if he works in business, whose wife is richer than the king and owns £700 million worth of shares in her father's company, Infosys, that refuses to stop paying taxes in Russia and is close businesses with oil giants BP and Shell. Infosys worked on blockchain technology with Alpha Bank, a Russian bank formerly run by Tory member Alexander Knaster. Until it was sanctioned in March 2022, the bank worked for the Russian government. The former deputy finance minister of Russia is married to a Tory member, who paid almost £300,000 for private meetings with Liz Truss and Boris Johnson. Boris receives £27,000 worth of discount luxury food from a company owned by the wife of a Tory lord. That Tory lord is the owner of JCB, which David Cameron's government spent £700 million of taxpayer money advertising abroad. In 2013, David Cameron received a donation of £177,000 from the Russian PR company New Century Media, a company that had previously worked with the Russian government to promote a positive image of Russia in the UK. That same year, David Cameron appointed Dido Harding, his friend he met at university, to the House of Lords. Harding attends the same horse racing club in the town of former Secretary of Health Matt Hancock, who in 2020 appointed Harding as the head of the UK's COVID-19 testing system. The horse racing club was formerly controlled by Rose Patterson, the wife of Tory MP Owen Patterson, who was a consultant for the company Randox, who not only sponsors the jockey club, but was also given £500 million during the pandemic for testing and diagnostics. politics. Hancock was eventually kicked out of his office for having an affair with intern Gina Coladangelo, who got the internship because her brother is the executive director of Partnering Health Limited, which was given a multi-million-pound contract for NHS Wales by who else but Rishi Sunak. It turns out that 20% of all contracts issued in the COVID-19 pandemic for protective equipment, 20 billion in total, were awarded to companies headed by Conservative Party members. And this doesn't even scratch the tip of the iceberg. How do they get away with it? Surely there must be some kind of anti-corruption department to keep track of all this, right? Well, there is actually a guy called the Anti-Corruption Champion, but he resigned from the job 2 years ago, and a successor was just never appointed. Also, he's a Tory MP. Also, he's married to Dido Harding. But would it all be so bad if this privately educated cabal of toffs were actually good at their job?
The MP accused of watching porn in the House of Commons. He allegedly told a senior civil servant to slit your throat.
He is facing very serious allegations that he reportedly offered to lobby ministers on behalf of the gambling industry. They have now made more than 100 referrals for fixed penalty notices as a result of those inquiries.
Does anyone ever say, you know what, you've done a good job because everyone else has sat on there and done nothing? No sign.
I have to say, I was somewhat astonished by the speech of the shadow Home Secretary, who can't even get the name of the country right, talking about Bengali government, we're talking about Rwanda, you know, respective country.
The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom interviewing the richest man in the world, talking about AI in the context of the James Cameron Terminator film. I can barely believe I'm saying all this.
During his trial, the former health secretary had to crawl through a tunnel while covered in sludge and bugs.
Mr. Johnson compared himself to Moses.
Wait, what's that?
On the government freedoms, immigrants didn't prevent us from building infrastructure like they were missing all the fun.
Does anyone speech of the shadow Home Secretary, who can't even get the name of the country right, talking about Bengali government, we're talking about Rwanda, you know, respective country.
The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom interviewing the richest man in the world, talking about AI in the context of the James Cameron Terminator film. I can barely believe I'm saying all this.
During his trial, the former health secretary had to crawl through a tunnel while covered in sludge and bugs.
Mr. Johnson compared himself to
Oh my god. Like, politicians should not be on fucking game shows.
Moses. He also quoted Lenin.
Pepper Pig World is very much my kind of place. It has a very safe streets. Forgive me.
Okay, I admit it. This video is slightly one-sided. So, in the interest of balance, we should at least let the Conservatives defend themselves. Judging by opinion polls, finding a genuine supporter of the current government is pretty unlikely. But there is a sect of disillusioned Conservatives who don't deny the problems we face.
Yeah, the Boris moment giving the journalist tea, that was a funny moment. But he's a funny bloke, but he was a terrible prime minister. Remember when Ron DeSantis went after Disney because they had gay merch? Conte's, I miss Boris. I think you're the only one on earth, mate.
But suggest that the Tories are suffering from some kind of diminished responsibility. The argument goes something like, well, for the first 5 years, it was the coalition with the...
Glenn Greenwald, a secular Jew. Nick Fuentes, a Hispanic Catholic. Suleiman Ahmed, a Pakistani Muslim. Drew Pavlu, a Greek Hindu. Coming together to film a collab would crush the unipolar world. Fucking beautiful comment. Thank you, mate. Great comment. Absolutely great comment.
Lib Dems, and we were recovering from a worldwide financial crisis that affected all countries, not just us. And then there was Brexit, which took up too much of the government's calendar to do anything else. And then, of course, the pandemic, and now another global crisis that has hampered the Tories' ability to do what they really wanted. Oh, and the budget cuts didn't really do much anyway either. It's a productivity issue that started way before 2010. I think this is a pretty rotten excuse, because even if you agree that governments can't be held liable for things they didn't want to do because of unforeseen circumstances, it's a lie anyway. The Tories did want to do all this, because one demographic has consistently benefited from the Tories' rule, which convinces me that all these outcomes were a deliberate choice, not an accident. One demographic that have been immune from all the budget cuts and cruel assaults on our livelihoods. Old people, specifically wealthy old people. Since 2017, every single age group has taken a hit.
What year does the Kim dynasty fall in North Korea? I don't know. I hope it happens soon. It'd be amazing.
To their household income, except people over 65, who have faced no loss of income whatsoever. In fact, quite the opposite. If you were born in Britain before 1973, congratulations, you win. Britain will enter her twilight years just as you enter yours. All the horrible things discussed in this video don't apply to you. Let's look at some of the ways Britain is disproportionately catered towards the interest of middle and upper class old people. Pensions are triple locked. Each year, the state pension grows by at least 2.5%, or to match the inflation rate, or the average national income, whichever is highest. And this is fine, but it's the only benefit that has this. And it's universal. The wealthy get free money just as much as the poor people who actually need it. The disabled, the unemployed, young carers, public sector employees, and healthcare workers are all at the mercy of inflation and the generosity of the government to keep their payments above inflation. Most of the time, they need to go on strike to get it. What this results in is pensioners having higher incomes than working-age citizens for the first time in history. Half of young people results in...
Crazy. Pensioners making more money than working-class citizens. That's fucking crazy. What country can survive like that? That's mental. That's a straight tax on fucking young people being alive. My God. Britain's fucking such a shithole these days. My God. Can you imagine that? Just taxed for existing so that you can fucking help boomers who are already fucking wealthy. Actually sick, dude. Actually sick. Makes me so angry. Boomers have killed everything.
is pensioners having higher incomes than working age citizens for the first time in history. Half of young people support the construction of HS2, with only 10% opposed. In the over 65, the support is flipped, because you know the number one demographic that opposes building more housing and infrastructure? It's old people. It's always old people. 20% of nightclubs have closed permanently since 2020. Nightlife has been regulated out of existence. But why is nobody having children these days? Probably because elderly middle-class people don't want you to get married, and they don't want you to own your own house, and they don't want your family to have any fun. It's not even like a passive dislike of young people, it's an active assault on their livelihoods, like trying to ban the under 25s from driving at night or carrying passengers in one of the safest countries in the world for road travel. Will this apply to the over 80s who cause just as many accidents?
Can't even fucking... Under 25s can't have passengers in their cars. That's insane. Britain's actually such a shithole now. It's literally like an boomer-occupied government.
No? Didn't think so, you paternalist, freedom-hating pillock. Even down to the NHS algorithms that decide who deserves liver transplants. A Financial Times investigation found that older patients who are more likely to suffer from liver failure due to poor diet choices are almost always placed higher on the transplant list than younger patients who are suffering from liver failure because of serious, incurable genetic diseases. This algorithm, by the way, has no human input, cannot be overruled by physicians, and patients cannot appeal its decision. But what is most frustrating is how willfully oblivious old people can be towards the problems young people face. I'm going off script here because this makes my blood boil, but a nurse on poverty wages living a bare-bones existence to buy her first house in a rundown dump is not a heartwarming tale of hard work. Did any snobby telegraph writers have to give up seeing friends or eating out or having fun or pursuing their own goals in life just to afford their own home? No, they didn't. Did they have to move to an unproductive, impoverished area created by the very policies that their newspapers endorsed and live with their family until they were 27 just to afford a house? No, they didn't. What about mortgage payments? We had mortgage payments that made your eyes water. Yeah, but it didn't have any effect because until 2000, they were tax deductible. I have to pay 9% of my income on student loans.
What? Mortgage payments were tax deductible? That's insane.
Never did, because you went to university for free. It was free until 1988. Oh, but if I point this out, I'm just an entitled woke snowflake. Have some fucking perspective. In response to people being unable to afford food, Tory MP Brendan Clark-Smith said,
say the price has shot up at that, and people say, oh, this tin has gone up by 50% or whatever. Buy the Tesco value one.
In response to the epidemic of raw sewage being dumped across the country, Tory MP Damien Green said,
I mean, I remember as a child in South Wales.
Swimming in sewage?
Swimming in sewage, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Jackson's Bay in Barry used to be...
So normal.
A sewage outlet where we all went and paddled and swam.
Going back to the 1950s, you can see how Tory campaign posters promised less tax, more sugar, they say. A better future is possible. Today, the Tory message to the public is this: eat gruel and swim in shit. After 14 years in power, this is
that's a good line. The message is eat gruel and swim in shit. That's brilliant.
Best we can give you. And they make no attempt at hiding how they want to boost the power of old people at the detriment of young people. In 2022, ID at polling stations was made mandatory for the first time in British history.
Another fine example of the erosion of the high trust society under the Tories.
But the forms of ID that are considered valid to vote with are nakedly tilted against young people, poor people, and working families. Rent books, 18+ Oyster cards, and student ID do not count, but 60+ Oyster cards do. Thankfully, this tactic didn't work because elderly Conservatives naturally forgot to bring ID, but Tories made no attempt at hiding their intentions and are completely unrepentant about having ruined a perfectly fine system.
As dare I say, we found by insisting on voter ID for elections, and we found that people who didn't have ID were elderly, and they by and large voted Conservative. So we made it hard for our own voters, and we upset a system that worked perfectly well. It was one of the glories of our country, actually, that we did on an honesty basis.
Older generations are more likely to support the reintroduction of national service, conscription in the army. Conveniently, now that they're all too old to be conscripted themselves, some military leaders are suggesting troop numbers need to quadruple in order to be able to fight in the event of a confrontation with Russia. This was around the same time a poll came out that said 40% of young Brits would dodge conscription if a war did break out, and I don't blame them. Liberty, prosperity, opportunity, these are things worth fighting for, and modern Britain offers none of them. We would be fighting for gruel and 100 chess tables. House of Commons leader Penny Mordaunt recently spoke out in favour of a kind of national service that wouldn't be military-based, but where all 16-year-olds would be automatically signed up to complete a set number of volunteering hours per year. She claimed it would harness young people's goodwill and community spirit. We all know what that would really look like. Young people spending a year of their life cleaning up dog poo, picking up litter, washing cars for free because there isn't enough money to pay actual workers to do the job.
Look at that image.
Litter, washing cars for free because there isn't enough money.
Beautiful. The modern state of Britain. Beautiful. How beautiful is that?
Need to pay actual workers to do the job. The Telegraph recently ran an article about the growing size of Britain's welfare state, and they included a handy calculator to let you know how much of your taxes goes towards benefit scroungers and single mums leeching off society. And it turns out most of my taxes go towards subsidizing old people who hate me.
Napoleon Bonaparte is quoted as saying, "To understand the man, you have to know what was happening in the world when he was 20. Well, when I was 20, the pandemic hit. I gave up 2 years of my life to protect the elderly from a disease that was basically harmless to me, but deadly for them. Your early 20s are the most important years for shaping the trajectory of your life, and I had to waste them at home. I didn't get my final 2 years at university, at least not the real university experience. I didn't get to develop professional skills. I was in the middle of an internship in March 2020. So what did they reward us young people with for our valiant sacrifice?
More taxes, high rent, high student loan interest, no fun, no help from the state, shutting down everywhere interesting, while the older generations get a tax cut, while the elderly Conservatives get to live in a museum that is neither well-preserved nor educational, oblivious to how the 90% really live. We do not live in a country, we live in a retirement home. The Conservatives did this. They have had 14 years in power, 9 years with unchecked power. They turned a country that wasn't perfect but was doing pretty well for itself into an international joke. For no reason, for no ideological goal in mind. What do the Tories stand for? Sound economics? Limited government? Law and order? Controlled borders? Defending the union? Cultural conservatism? No. Just a herd of brainless, directionless cattle milling around. Defending the union? Cultural conservatism? No. Just a herd of brainless, directionless cattle milling around, reacting slowly, leisurely strolling from one crisis to another. I don't know how to fix all this. If you think electoral politics will save us, then go out there and campaign. That's good for you. If you want to emigrate, I don't blame you. If you think the whole thing should just be burned to the ground, just wait, and Parliament will just burn down by itself. But if I had to give you one instruction, the bare minimum towards fixing the sorry state of this country is that you walk into that polling booth on the 4th of July and you tick the box for whichever candidate will beat your local Conservative. If you have to hold your nose while you vote for a Labour samurai of bureaucracy or a shit-eating Liberal Democrat or an illiterate National Party stooge, that's fine. Because I promise you that no matter who gets elected, they will not be any worse than the fascist gangsters of the Conservative Party. A change in government won't turn this country around. What, do you think Labour are going to reverse this? It will only buy us more time. But it is the first, smallest and most important step towards building a better Britain. Even if that step is taken, there is a lot of work to be done. Millions of houses, trillions spent on infrastructure, a country with more and more freedom each year, not less and less. If you're watching this long in the future, only you will know if we achieve this.
Brilliant video. What a sensational video. I'm subscribing to him. Amazing. That's a sensational video. Sensational video. I think it's a shame that he didn't talk about the problem to do with Islamic extremism in Britain. That's a huge part of the problem in Britain today. But overall, wow, what an indictment, I think, on the state of Britain as a country. The decline is so massive. It's so sad. As somebody who has so much love for, the beautiful country of England and Britain, it's actually so fucking sad. So sad. I wish it wasn't this bad, guys. I wish it wasn't this bad. Gee, I'm pretty tired now. It's 1 a.m. here in Australia. This is my second stream today. We've done 46 streams in 46 days. I'll be back tomorrow, guys. No single party in the West supports the people. Yeah, this is the problem, right? If they voted in reform, okay, maybe they lower migration, but it's not going to solve the massive, overwhelming problems of NIMBYism. It's not going to make it easier to build houses in Britain. It's going to be a disaster. The whole thing, they need a massive cultural change in Britain right now, massive cultural change. They'll be okay if they can get back in the EU. They should go back into the EU, I think. I think they should. 4 p.m. in Ireland. Good to see that we've got someone in Ireland watching. That's cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I want to say a big thank you to Kalkin for his super chat with the burrito bowl. I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you so much. Yeah, great 2 streams today. And I'll see you all tomorrow. The Drew Pavlu Show will be back tomorrow. The Fortress of Righteousness will return. Matt Curl says penis. Thank you, Matt. Max, thank you for watching. Nathaniel Hayes, Explorer Magic, Hexaroot. Who else? Faustian Thought, Surf Sherpa. Just trying to thank everybody who was commenting. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Biggest yapper in Oceania. Yep, beautiful. Good night, Drew. Bots Entertainment. Thank you, mate. Thank you as well to Glenn Greenwald. Thank you so much, Glenn, for what you've done for the world. Thank you to Easy Money as well. America basically doesn't have any existing welfare state, so migration is good for us. Yeah, true. I mean, I still think Americans should have a better welfare state, but and Yusuf as well, thank you for watching as well. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. It's so unbelievably sad how bad Britain has become. I'm really worried that Australia is going down that trajectory as well. I'm really worried that Australia will follow the same pathway. We've had a 2-year per capita recession. I mean, Britain's had a per capita recession, it seems, almost for like fucking 15 years. So we'll see. I mean, we're nowhere near as bad yet, but I'm worried that we're starting to go down the same path. And it's just so sad for anybody who has an affection for Britain and English culture and British culture. It's very sad to see what's happening there at the moment. Thank you so much, guys. We should have all listened to Glenn Greenwald. So true. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining the Fortress of Righteousness today. I will see you tomorrow for episode 47. Thank you so much, guys. God bless you all. Have a good one.